Thank you, sister.
Your responsibility. So it doesn't mean that the person remembers that they have something against you. You're the one who remembers
Beautiful.
that they have something against you.
Yes. Thank you. That's perfect. So it's our responsibility. If we remember, and God brings something to remembers. So on the Day of Atonement, the Day of Atonement is to what? At 1 minute to be, so the Day of Atonement, what did the Israelites do out in the courtyard? Before they went into the courtyard, before they brought their sacrifices, before they threw into the gate, what were they doing outside? What were they supposed to do? They were supposed to confess their sins to each other. To search my heart, O God, and see if there is any anxious thoughts, any wickedness, any evil thoughts, anything that is separating me from you. And in a relationship, anything that's separating me from my spouse, from my child, from a parent, from, we search our hearts. So that gate, that first steps is to search my heart. Like, okay, is there anything, have I offended somebody? Is there an offense that I have outstanding? Is there something in my heart that I have not resolved with somebody else? So even before we come into church, the altar, and to come to the sanctuary, does God want us to be here and worshiping when we have unreconciled relationships that we haven't made right? No. Is this important stuff? It is very important. So we have to understand God's process of how he wants us to repair relationships, because really, ultimately, at the end of the day, isn't that reflecting his character is when we are the ones that are reconciling and bringing back people to Christ?
So true. Now this morning we discovered relationship poisons, which is what we say and what we do. So our behavior, right? We recognize, okay, what is my behavior in conflict? This afternoon we want to move, so it's shifting that blame game to what's my responsibility in all this. So what's my part? We're going to go through that this afternoon. Now what? Now that I'm recognizing my part, now what? This afternoon we're going to identify not just behavior like we've done, what we're saying and doing, but what are we thinking to create conflict? And the Bible talks about two kind of strongholds that we are going to talk about this afternoon that affect who we think we are, and how who we think we are creates conflict.
So this is supposed to read, what's your conflict style? That's our first session. We're going to give you a quiz here that you get, a little self-awareness little sheet that you can actually learn what your conflict style that we're going to share. And this is based on science and biblical principles. Learning there's 5 conflict management styles that we're going to talk about this afternoon.
Now, Marlon mentioned earlier that this was his job for many years, was risk management, conflict mediation, discoveries, all these things, working with clients and lawyers to resolve an issue, a problem. So he's really the expert here. So I'm going to let you do a lot of speaking. I'll pipe in every once in a while.
Well, you're an expert too. We had a lot of conflict together.
You're right.
So science, this is where we use three things for our seminars. 1, the Bible. Number 2, science. And number 3, experience. So that 3-legged stool, right? And we have to all be married together. So if the Bible and the science don't blend, we don't use the science, right? Because it's not true science. So the science that we use in this program is all based on Scripture, that it can be backed and validated by the Bible, because I think and then it's also been validated in our own marriage, the experience when we've tried and true these practices and these principles. So we want to share with you. So the world uses a term, conflict management versus conflict resolution. So in a relationship, what do you think we want to have? Do you want to have conflict management or conflict resolution? Resolution. So a lot of the science, some of the best science that we talk about, so when we do the Gottman program, when we talk about 7 principles for making marriage work, their relationship house builds up to conflict management. And the Gottmans actually say the whole purpose of counseling and the programs are to have a marriage that you can live with, that you can go out for coffee and not kill each other, right? It's good enough. But does God want you to have a good enough marriage? What kind of marriage does he want us to have? A thriving, vibrant.
Like us, honey, thriving.
Yes. A thriving relationship, two becoming one where there's passion.
Yeah, but does it mean you don't have conflict if you're thriving?
We had a conflict this morning, so I don't think that happens.
Yeah. So it doesn't mean you don't have conflict, but we're sharing with you tools and how to, when conflict comes up, how to work through it, how to be self-reflective instead of blame, right?
Because if we don't resolve the conflict, can we go through the next steps through the sanctuary and go into the holy place? We can't have anything unconfessed, any conflict in our lives. Or what happens? What would happen to the priest if he went into the holy place with unresolved, unconfessed problems or sin in his life? What would happen to the priest? He died. So they had the bells and the pomegranates, right? If they didn't hear it, they'd have to have the rope on his leg and they'd pull him out. So in the same way, if we don't go through these steps, our relationship will die. Our relationship with God and our relationship with each other. So we wanted to follow the steps. So conflict management, there's conflict management skills that we can use to navigate the conflict so that we can move into resolution. So here are some of the skills that we use in our marriage and we teach couples. And the first one is a gentle startup. We talked about communication, right? So communication, and we talked a little bit this morning about that gentle startup. So we talked about criticism. The antidote for criticism is a gentle startup. Speaking softly and gently, describing what I need, what I feel, what I would like, not what I don't want, or what you're doing to irritate me, or describing you as the problem, right? So we want to have this gentle startup, and this can change the trajectory of a conversation. Next thing we need is active listening skills. How many consider themselves an active listener?
How many of you are not formulating your own rebuttal or what you want to say? Active listening is putting aside our agenda, our perspective, and just hearing the other person.
My judgments,
Are
my
suspended.
solving the problem kind of, I can already solve the problem before you even get, I just want to say it. I don't want, we want to solve the problem. But we speak at 125 words per minute. Do you know what our brain thinks at? 400 thoughts a minute. So a lot of times our mind, when the other person's speaking at 125, our mind's going, okay, tomorrow I gotta mow the lawn. Okay, I gotta get groceries tomorrow. There's a to-do list, and this is what this person is saying. Really, I don't care what they're saying. My thinking and my ideas and my opinions are actually better than your ideas. So once you get finished, then I can actually tell you the way it really is and what you should really be seeing, right? So our minds are going 100 miles an hour. We're doing all these different thought processes. So we really need to retrain. I trained in university for active listening, but I never learned how to listen to my wife. So again, to relearn how to listen to the heart, learning how to re-listen, being present, learning to really truly, there's that slide here, it says, seek first to understand and then be understood. See, we all want to be understood. We all want people to understand us, but we take the time to listen and understand the person. And really conflict resolution, this skill that we're going to be talking more about this afternoon is really one of the keys, is that active listening and learning to really listen.
That's right. And honey, neuroscience has discovered that you have 6 times in a second to stop your brain and be present.
Wow.
Every 10 seconds.
6 times in a minute.
Or 6 times in a minute, sorry. 6 times in a minute. So every 10 seconds, we usually think a new thought. So if I'm thinking about mowing the lawn and groceries and somebody's talking to me, or if I'm cooking supper and I'm thinking about what I'm doing and they're talking to me, I have 6 chances in 1 minute and 60 seconds to turn and be present. I can choose to change.
Sure.
Especially the word, I know listening what it is, but the word active there. Does active listening,
Versus passive listening.
active listening, does it mean, okay, I'm quiet, paying attention, or I'm also talking as I'm listening to you, affirming, or rather repeating what you're saying is just to make sure that I'm getting what you're saying, or it means quietly listening?
I would say it depends on what that person needs. So if they have felt like they would share and then the other person shares, they may just need you to just listen. And that may be for them active listening.
So active listening also includes reframing what you heard the other person say. So summarizing what they say. It includes validation. So validating isn't agreement with the person. It's just validating. So a lot of times we dismiss emotions. So my wife will come home. How you feeling? How's your day, honey?
It was so busy. Like, I still have a couple hours of work to do. And
How's your heart?
how's my heart? Overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed. So why are you overwhelmed?
Why?
Yeah.
Because a couple of coaching sessions went overtime, and I just wanted to help so desperately, and I just...
But yeah, well, this is your job. You shouldn't feel overwhelmed.
I shouldn't feel overwhelmed.
Yeah, I know. Well, you only had 2 sessions today.
2 sessions, but it turned into 6 hours between the two.
Well, you know what? You need to learn to be faster.
And
You need
it's
more.
learning
Yeah, you need to
be faster.
manage your time better. So was I listening to her? What was I doing? And what was her emotion? Well, yeah, with me after at the end of it, yeah. But what was her originally? She overwhelmed, maybe exhausted, maybe tired.
I was I'm like, he's asking me how I'm feeling. Oh, this feels good. And then all of a sudden, it switched.
So again, active listening is hearing the emotion and validating the emotion. So honey,
Can we do a redo? I need my heart taken care of here.
Sure. Okay, tell me how you're feeling.
Feeling overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed. So what's the source of that feeling of overwhelmness?
I just know that this couple can make it work. But yeah, they're having a hard time choosing.
So sometimes I hear you feeling exhausted just trying, because you're putting so much effort into helping this couple make it and to repair.
Yeah, I mean, I want to do it. And
I
my
do.
heart's there, but I guess maybe the overwhelm is just my huge desire for them to want to make it work.
And that's one thing I appreciate of you, because I see your passion and your compassion for people, and just you really want them to heal the relationship. So I understand that. I can see how you could be overwhelmed.
Thanks.
So anything I can do to support you?
Yeah, could you just give me a little neck
Oh
rub?
yes, okay. No judgment, no criticism. I didn't dismiss the emotion. And even with our children come to me, if they're feeling sad or they're feeling angry, well, just stop feeling, you should be happy, right? We dismiss the emotion rather than acknowledging the emotion and allowing them to feel it, because their emotion is bad or good. They're neutral. They can be neutral. It's what we do with them that can be bad or good, right? Be
Go to your
angry.
room and calm down. Do they need to go to their room and calm down, or they need you to care about their heart?
So again, active listening is summarizing what you heard so they feel understood. It's acknowledging the emotion, allowing them to express it, whether it's negative. And a lot of us are not comfortable with negative emotions, right? Oh, just stop feeling that way, right? Bible says you're supposed to be joyful, right?
That's right. So we try to dismiss it to move on and get out of the uncomfortable feeling.
Right. So go ahead. I think you had your hand up again.
We are talking.
Yeah. You're talking as
Yeah.
a general. Yeah.
General, yes.
There.
Yeah, it could be I want to keep quiet to the extent that the other person who is talking ends up asking me, "Are you why are you so quiet? Are you?" And then, I say, "I'm listening." It bothers them that I'm so quiet, and then I say, "No, because I'm listening." I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Somebody's so quiet,
Yeah.
dead quiet, when the other person is speaking, to the extent that they could have shut off, and then this other person is just talking, and they are not even. They pretend as if they are
That's
listening,
it.
and they are so
That's
quiet.
passive listening.
So what that person is telling you, if they're asking why you're so quiet while they're talking to you, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So they're probably saying, I just need you to validate that you're hearing me. So that person needs you to validate that you're hearing. So then you would repeat back what you're hearing every once in a while. Other people just truly want you to be passive and listen. So it's figuring out what that person's need is around the listening. Active or passive?
Emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the next one. So we talked about it a little bit in the testimony today. Is I didn't know what emotional intelligence was, or EQ. Have anybody studied or done any work on emotional intelligence? What books have you read, or what information have you done? Anxiety and depression, you've done some books? Okay. Have you read SOS, Help for Emotions, or the Telling Yourself the Truth by William Backus?
Therapy thing. The therapy.
You do, part of the therapy?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else? So emotional intelligence is being aware of our own emotions. And especially as a man, I was taught to suppress my emotions. Suck it up, buttercup, men are tough, baby, don't cry, big boys don't cry, all those things we're told and taught to be tough and macho. So we don't learn to name our emotions, we don't learn to express them, we don't learn to even acknowledge them. We're uncomfortable with the emotions. So learning to be aware of our own emotions, and then learning to be able to manage or regulate those emotions. So when my wife was angry at me and she was spitting nails, normally my go-to would be what? To withdraw, to stonewall. But once we are emotionally healthy, I can stay present in the relationship. I can stay present and not allow her emotions to affect my emotions. Because ultimately, we're in control of our emotions, right? You can't blame somebody. You know what? You make one in every 275,000 roller coasters have an incident. So it's too risky. So it's fearful. Let's not go.
And I'm like, woohoo, let's go. Come on, honey.
No, don't go. You might die.
No, it's fun.
Stay. No, don't go. Is the roller coaster, we're looking at the same thing. So the circumstance, is the circumstance causing my emotions? Is the roller coaster causing me to be emotionally anxious? What is it? It's my beliefs or my thoughts. So what I'm thinking about the circumstance, not the circumstance, and that's what emotional intelligence teaches us, it's not the circumstances, it's what I believe and think about the circumstance that makes my feelings, and what I feel is then creates my actions. Think, feel, act.
So giving empathy is the next one, which we usually don't practice. So empathy is that we talked about validation. When we're validating how the person is feeling, then they're expressing to us. So showing empathy, putting ourselves in their shoes instead of getting stuck in our position around the conflict.
And the next one is being flexible. So a lot of times in our relationship,
Like a gymnast?
yeah, that's good too. I was very inflexible in the relationship, right? I didn't accept influence from my wife's dream, desires, needs. So I was very inflexible. And
In turn, I became inflexible. Well, if he's not going to be that way, well, he's not going to get any. Right? So we become inflexible in other areas of life where we just say no.
so in negotiations, when I would go into a JDR or into a major negotiation, everybody would take their two parties. They each have their own position of what they want. And most people are what? They're very inflexible. They don't want to move from their position. They hold on to this is what I want. and I'm not changing. So again, learning to move from our positions to areas of flexibility or areas of interest that we can move into so we can resolve.
So soon we're going to have you do a little activity sheet to identify, am I inflexible? Because this is huge for causing relationships to be in gridlock.
Then we move into dialogue or collaboration where we start learning about what the actual problem is. So a lot of times we don't identify or understand what the true issue is, and we're going to get into that a little bit later. How do we truly collaborate? How do we truly dialogue and to understand the dream, the need, the want, desire behind that dream?
Which helps us be able to problem solve. Yes.
Question. Does being inflexible causes a quarrel with between couples?
Being inflexible does. Yeah, it creates conflict all the time. This is the number one thing with every couple that we coach with and every parent-child relationship is that we have these agendas. So we have a parental agenda for our child, and if they don't live up to it and we're not flexible in hearing what maybe their side of the story is around this agenda, then we get into gridlock and conflict. In marriages, this inflexibility, I mean, in our one seminar, Dr. Gottman calls it not turning towards,
Not accepting influence.
not accepting influence. These are all words that mean the same thing. And that is where relationships break down and they end because of this one thing.
Yeah, so financially, I was the head of the home, and I was not flexible to spend a dime on my wife's dreams to travel. I thought it was a waste of money. You know, I grew up in a home where, my grandparents went through the dirty 30s, and every dollar you saved, right, you didn't spend money wastefully, right? So our difference of opinions and values around money, I was very inflexible. No, you're not spending, so you spent $10 on I can't believe. So I was very controlling with the money, not flexible in trying to hear what she wanted. And 86% of men don't accept influence or flexibility with their wives. So it's usually the men have a trouble with this area. We seem to be
Child relationships too. Yeah. So it's really getting to that, being able to yield and be flexible. That's what yield means, to win in the relationship. So it's a win-win to resolve the conflict.
So we shared, I think, part of this a little earlier. We're going to go back to this text because it's so important. In James 4:1-3, what causes fights and quarrels among you? Don't they come from the desires that battle within you? You desire, but you do not have, so you kill. And what is kill? If we even have hate in our hearts towards our spouse or to our enemies or to anybody, is that murder? So even in our minds, if we have that desire or we are angry with our brother, you covet, but you cannot get what you want. So you quarrel and fight. You do not have because you do not ask God. When you ask, you do not receive because you ask with the wrong motives, that you may spend what you can. So you spend what you get on your own pleasure. It's all about me, right? It's what I want.
So my own pleasures and desires is my whole agenda. It's not about what his pleasures and desires are, what my child's are. Yeah.
So can you hand out the one sheet, this one, honey, right here?
The conflict
Style.
The fourth
No.
one down, right there. No, third one in. Next one
Sideways.
to your
One more.
left.
That one.
There's 2 pages.
If you handle those out, yeah, those ones.
I started to kind of put them crisscross. Yeah.
Yeah. So and Reg, if we could get a copy up here just to refer as well. Thank you, Seth. So we're going to do, this is the Thomas Kilmann model. This is based on in science, and this is the #1 conflict resolution tool that they use in the world. So we're going to teach it, and we're going to teach it from a relational basis in a husband and wife, not from a corporate perspective. So we're going to have this survey, and we're going to talk about these 5 communication styles. So does anybody need a pen? So if you can see, Lucy, if you can see the people that need pens. Yeah, we need about 5 or so pens. And we're going to work on, so we're going to make it more like a workshop this afternoon. We're going to get you to do some activities to understand and reflect and to identify your conflict management style. Because once we can identify our style, we know what our default is, and we know where we're going to, and we have one person that's conflict style is one way and ours is the other way. We know what kind of challenges that's going to create in our dynamics within our relationship. Anybody else, do you have pens? Yes.
While you're doing it, does the approach to being inflexible to resolve that issue, and can the person that involves a third party? For example, my wife is not much of a bookworm,
Okay, yeah.
but I am. So what happened was that when at the time when I wanted to do my master's in education, I was trying to get her to do it as well.
Sure.
But she didn't see the purpose of it,
Right.
the reason for doing it. But I did. So what I had to do was I had to get her friend involved in the whole matter. So I encouraged the friend to do the program with us, that way to get the friend to encourage her to do the program with me.
Right.
Right? So it turns out that all 3 of us signed up for the program, but her friend didn't finish. But my wife and I finished. Right? But in the end, my wife sees a significant difference in terms of pay-wise. So the question I'm asking is, with the approach of being inflexible, can a third party be introduced in the resolution of the inflexibility of the matter?
Okay, so let me answer in our experience. And yes, a mediator, coach, counselor, if there's a gridlock issue that you want to discuss, very helpful, because sometimes having a neutral party or mediator can see the perspectives, where maybe sometimes we're clouded by our own perspective. We can't necessarily see the other perspective. So sometimes it's just helpful for having somebody to be able to show you the other perspective. So the challenge I have within our marriage, I tried to get people to convince my wife that my perspective is right. And that, because I was not being flexible to hear what she really wanted. So this can create a lot of conflict if what I'm trying to do is really to get the other person to go along with my agenda and the way, my perspective, to manipulate them to go into. So you can be very careful. So that could backfire. In our relationship, that backfired. So I be caution.
And many others that we.
Yeah, so what was your side of that, Doreen? And if you can.
Yeah, so for example,
What example are you thinking of?
No, just your perspective on that.
so my perspective is that he was inflexible and he didn't want to hear my heart and my mind. He didn't want to see what was important to me.
Oh, I was interrogating you.
Yeah, so
You had
what
to
he
wait.
would do, you're right.
Yeah,
So he would go into interrogation mode because that's what he did. He worked with lawyers, he worked with, people, and he had to investigate whether there was fraud or not for this company. So he would go into interrogation mode. So for example, he'd say, well, I thought that you wanted to buy a Honda Civic. And I said, yeah, I did want to buy a Honda Civic. Well, now you're saying you want to buy a Nissan Rogue. I said, yeah, because that's what you want. And then he would ask, well, what is it about a Rogue? Nothing. I said, because that's what you want. Right? And then he would ask me another question. And finally, how did I get to the decision of Nissan Rogue? It's not what I wanted. I wanted a Honda Civic. But it is because of all the questions he would ask in the interrogation, I just gave up and I just said, you know what? I'll just give you what you want. It's too much pain. So we're going to talk about accommodating, so I would just accommodate. So I don't know if that helps. So if somebody is always accommodating, the other person always gets what they want, that's very painful for the accommodator.
So what I would suggest that the mediator would do, or if we were mediating, we would find out what the dreams were from both parties, and why one party wanted to do what they were wanting to educate and do book work and education, and the reasons the other person didn't. So to come to understanding between the parties, not to force one party to view the situation, but to really be neutral and to dialogue and support, to help you understand why your wife may not want to do that, or why you don't want it, and why it's important to you. So we're shifting from our positions, not to have somebody come in and convince my spouse of my position, but help me to understand dialogue and really where we truly flush out, and we're going to have some exercises to do that, how we really truly understand their perspective.
Now, your situation turned out good in the end, right?
Yeah.
Which makes me the value.
Sure.
Yeah.
But know that she wants to go further. Well, she doesn't want to go further. Let's say, for example, she's teaching, but she's becoming overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
So I was teaching at college at one point. So I said to her, thank you. So I said to her, when we're teaching at the college, you're teaching adults, you're interacting differently in comparison to when you're teaching at elementary level, where you have to be constantly providing consult and all the supervision towards the kids. When you're dealing with adults, it's different.
Right.
So I proposed to her, okay, let us do a doctoral program, right? That way we can focus primarily on educating adults, and you can step away from elementary, right? If you find that you're a little bit overwhelmed, in her mind, she's like thinking there's too much school. She's tired of school.
Sure.
For me, I'm seeing the end result. I'm seeing the benefits, right? I'm seeing a future in which she's not stressed, she's not overwhelmed, she's working at her own pace. Students are more accommodating and appreciative of what she's doing, right? In comparison when she's dealing with elementary kids, she's dealing with parents, administration, lesson planning. So I'm providing ideas and examples to get her to see my perspective.
Right.
But I mentioned earlier about the getting the friend as a mediator earlier on for the master's program.
Right.
That worked, right? But I don't see where I can use it a second time around because she's seen what's happening.
So we're going to have in the next session here this afternoon, we're going to have an exercise to teach you how to have a conversation in this situation that will allow you not just for her to see your perspective, but also allow you to see her perspective. This gentleman had a comment or question right here.
I'm just saying in response to his comment that every stage you go comes with its own stress. So I see where he's going with his point. But whether you're teaching at elementary, high school, or a doctoral level, they all come with different stresses. You have to decide which one you're going to learn to live with. Life has stress, period.
Right. So it's really, is your wife here?
Yes, she's supposed to be here.
Okay, when she comes back, when we do this exercise, maybe you guys can volunteer to do the exercise. This would be a good learning tool, but it's so. But learning, so In my marriage, I did that all the time. I tried to convince my wife that my perspective is correct. That's when we are not flexible, and that's not accepting influence from the other person, because we want her to accept influence from us, but we don't really hear her side and accept influence what they really want. So that's the key we want to talk about this afternoon. So thank you for bringing that up, because we're going to start moving from this position over into here and to understanding. So has everybody had a chance to fill out their sheets?
Okay, is there anyone still working on it?
Yes.
Okay, I want to ask a question. I believe that man should have principle. While you also have principle, you should also accommodate it with love. Based on the inflexible nature of things, can we compromise our principle because of love? I think there should be a difference between principle and love.
So,
can man compromise his principle because of peace and love?
So there's an area of inflexibility when it comes to morals or principles. Yes, and we should be. So I personally have the value of, in our relationship, that there should not be committing of adultery. That's where I'm going to be inflexible. So those are values and morals that they're going to be inflexibility. But when it comes to what kind of a dog we get, or what kind of education, most of the areas, but we have 10 hard lines. They're called the 10 Commandments. Those, we don't flex on our beliefs and values. We look at flexing on areas that are just differences, in my opinion, in my perspective. No, good point. Yes. Where's the back corner?
In the back corner.
This
the
young
microphone.
gentleman here. Huh? Yeah.
Alright, so how would you go about doing it? Like standing your ground for your core principles without being harsh?
Okay, can you give an example of what that would look like?
Alright, so we're not going to be flexible on certain things in the relationship. We're going to cross the line here, and I'm not budging. But I don't want to come off as harsh or to hurt your feelings.
Okay, so can you describe your values and beliefs to me in a gentle startup?
You're putting me on the spot now.
So this is where we're not criticizing, we're not attacking, we're not blaming, we're not defending, we're just saying, so, and this is, are you married?
No, I'm
So young person, this is awesome, because what we try to encourage young people to do is have these conversations before they get married, because a lot of times there's expectations and these expectations we don't talk about, or are my values and my belief systems. So that's why it's so important to be aligned before. So we actually like to have couples do a vision statement or a marriage statement, and having their values and beliefs. So what they are before we get married. A lot of times we don't find out until after. What if my wife, we got married and 2 years into it, she believes in polyamory, where she can be with other men intimately. And we haven't talked about that, right? You think it's gonna be a problem?
It is.
So we should have those discussions before we get married, because that may be my choice of a wife may be different. So to have those values, and so hard lines, my belief is, that's to me, honey, it is my core belief and my value that, when we get married or in our relationship, I want us both to be faithful to each other. It's really important to me that intimacy and that sacred part of our marriage is just between us. And I value that so much, and I just, hopefully it's valuable to you as well, and that's something
I'm so
important to you.
happy that's your value, because it's mine too.
So to have conversations with a gentle startup and expressing
Yes.
your values, your beliefs, but not attacking them in their values and their beliefs, right?
So if you have that conversation around Mark 12:31 and 32, it says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, strength. So if you have that conversation around the spiritual, what are your hard lines? What are your morals, your values around spirituality, about physical health, emotional health, just having that conversation around all of those is so key.
In the Garden of Eden, what was the one hard line that God said you can't do with Adam and Eve? Pardon me?
Don't eat the apple.
Don't eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. One hard line, one inflexible. Said that's it, right? The rest you can freely eat of. So there's mostly the areas in our lives. There's very few inflexible areas. Yes.
Right up here.
My brother just mentioned that there's principles and love. Can he give an example of principles he was mentioning? I just want to understand that.
The principles you want to understand from him. Oh, your sister's calling you out. Woo! This is going to be a sibling conflict.
Pastor did, I don't know, you pastor, but I think it says something based on morals. Anything that has no alignment with the morals, the standard morals, I don't compromise. But like you said, although having kids, having cats, and all those kind of things, you can compromise. But when it comes to standard morals, we know that once you are towing that line, definitely you're going to shift. I don't compromise on that.
And that's where our relationship with God is first, right? And we have, just like Daniel and Meshach, was there conflict? What was the conflict?
So if they're best in God, then that's
Yeah.
if they're best in culture, that's something different.
Oh, culture, yes. Those are traditions, culture. And that's what happens in marriage is it's culture, or maybe the way I grew up and was raised. So I'm gonna be not flexible in that area. And it's like, so that's when we have to have that dialogue and understand what's the meaning, what's the values, what's the belief, what's the interest behind the dream or that value, or more. Let's have a conversation about it. Because if it's, is it based on God? Then I'm going to respect that. But if it's just, my dad raised me.
These are the two things you just hit, spirituality and culture. When there's a clash of different religions and a clash of cultures, in our coaching experience, those can create stresses in the relationship, for sure. Because if you're not flexible to take on the other person's culture or the other person's religion, and you're inflexible, you're in gridlock.
I'm going to say a statement. I want you to say if it's true or false, right? Help me out here. I am the way they am, and I can't change. Why is it false?
I hope that we can all grow.
Amen. Is that why we're here? We have the gospel? Can we all change and be transformed in the image of God? So to say, well, that's just the way I am, that's culture, I can't change. I have a lot of men. Well, I'm not going to change. I wasn't trained to listen to my wife, so that's just not who I am. Well, is that, yes, go ahead, brother.
That's inflexible.
So the Bible says, be ye transformed.
By the renew. Amen. Amen.
What you take in, that's what you're going to put out.
Right.
So, but there's a transformation, so we all can change.
Amen. Yes.
This is a kind of, just need your advice because this thing is timely. I have a friend, while we were in UK, we are very close, but I just got information last week they are getting divorced. But they are Catholic anyway. So, but I want to give advice because for me, I say, are they considering their kids, considering time they have spent, that they said, it's over, I'm done, something like that. But I'm trying to see what advice am I going to give to them because I don't know.
Advice into respect to which? Accept influence?
Would I say they're divorcing? Yeah.
They're in the process of divorcing?
Yeah, they've signed, the husband signed.
So we can pretty much guarantee you it's around this concept of being inflexible. So as we go through, maybe you'll probably have a greater understanding, be able to help them.
encourage them where to go, look for
Yes.
resources, and we can
Yeah.
provide you with some resources and where to go.
Did you have a
Pastor
comment?
wanted to make a comment here. And then we have, man, you guys are a lot of, this is great. You guys are very interactive. This is awesome.
Question, does reconciliation always have to end in making amends by coming back together? Or does it mean we also go our separate ways? So what does reconciliation look like? Does it always make amends, come together, or do we separate?
No, it doesn't always mean making amends. We have examples of people here, right? It's not always possible. It takes, it takes two people to work in a relationship to have a healthy, prosperous relationship. But in our case, one person chose to restore the relationship and pursue the relationship and pursue the reconciliation, but it was voluntary. My wife didn't have to choose to reconcile. And I chose to pursue her and love her with every breath I had till I died. Now, she still has a choice of accepting that reconciliation and accepting that love from me, so that the reconciliation fully wasn't converted until she chose to turn towards me, and then we reconciled, and then we went through the forgiveness process and restored the relationship. So just like God, God loves each one of us, right? He loves each one of you. He's constantly pursuing a relationship with you. Regardless if you choose him or not, he's choosing you. He's pursuing you. And how does he pursue us? With everlasting kindness, he draws us unto himself. Love awakens love. So when we pursue in love, and somebody asked me, well, how long would you have pursued your wife? I pursued her for 6 months before her heart changed towards me. Would I have gone another 6 months, another year? I was at a seminar, and a lady came up to me and was in tears. She said, I pursued my husband for 21 years. And he finally, before he died, he told me he loved me. 21 years she pursued. How many years has God pursued us? Are we willing to have that kind of agape love that God is telling us about, to pursue sacrificially? And I tell young men, they were asking me when my wife's left me, and I tell them how to love his wife. I said, love her unconditionally. Don't expect anything in return. And he's like the rich young ruler. Well, that's too hard. And then a year later, he comes back. Okay, now she's really, it's over, and she's, is filing for a divorce. And I teach her how, okay, love her with all your heart, with all your soul, your mind, and strength, and love her unconditionally with expecting zero. And finally, a year back, he came back the next year and said, I've repaired my relationship. My wife is moving back from Peru when we're having our second child. Amen? So is it possible to absolutely. God can do miracles in our relationships when we do it his way. When we do it our way and we allow pride and selfishness to dictate how we view love, it'll never work, because the world teaches a selfish love. Mm-hmm. God teaches unselfish love, pursuing, is a relationship 50-50 or 100-100?
100, not 50-50.
Why not 50-50?
50-50 doesn't work when you're dealing with the principle of love.
It doesn't.
50-50, okay, if you do that for me, I will do that. But the principle of love is not based on whether my wife is nice, yes or no. The principle of love is that I am going to take care of my family, of my wife, regardless of what she does.
Mm-hmm.
And God has done exactly the same thing.
Amen.
While we were yet sinners, not while we were conscious about what he has done for us, his death or his sacrifice, but while we were yet sinners,
Amen.
he was still in pursuit of us.
Yes.
He died for us, even without us acknowledging him.
So is 100 to 0. And that's the difference between contract and covenant. What is a covenant? See, contracts is based on performance. And we can, there's clauses, there's performance clause. If you don't perform up to my my expectations, I can cancel the contract, right? Void null. And I can even claim damages. What does a covenant mean? I promise to love you for richer, for poorer, sickness and health, right? We make a promise. The promise isn't conditional on how, if they love me back, right? Amen. Isn't God? I'm so glad his covenant promise is to love us unconditionally, whether how we treat him, and he keeps pursuing us. Is that what the God's model is he wants for us to have? See our example? To pursue in that kind of way? Sorry, Pastor, and then the,
Sorry, I don't know if you remember your question or
Sorry.
your comment.
I had to go back a little bit because it was another comment, but I was just touch base on that, and is a commentary that normally the society, when we talk about principles and values, and then you focus on the spirituality, they don't bring spirituality with principles. They just
correct.
Bring spirituality as one part of the life. So instead we see the whole thing through God, through his principles. We just see people, okay, I'm okay. For example, if we are dating someone, and then that person don't follow the principle, and then they might say, okay, I'm okay with your church. I'm not against your church. So they may have problems to figure out what's the difference of being guided from the principle of our God and just bring the cultural things and make a confusion between culture and the principles, because things may change it, but principles are not
non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable.
Yes.
Yeah, and sometimes we lost this vision.
And that's one of the challenges with science versus the Bible, right? Science, a lot of the programs, they don't include the spiritual part of those morals, those. Yeah, so I think we had a hand here and then in the back.
Then we're going to rein you in, and we're going to talk about this slide here.
And this lady here afterwards, too.
I'm actually thinking to ask the question, but this will be my first public question about what I'm going to ask. I put myself in a vulnerable point. I've been divorced for 16, 18 years.
Okay.
Yes, and then when my eldest son got married, like when he was going to the Philippines for the wedding, he asked me, like, talk to me early in the morning. I was in the kitchen. Mama, is there any possible chance that you can get back together with Papa? That question from my son was very painful to me because I could see on his standpoint. But I said, I love you, son, but I can't. And I have some friends that give me some advices. And I was willing to share how I felt. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional now. So their assessment was, I fall out of love because I'm a believer. I believe in God, the principles and values and things. But thinking, sometimes I personalize, I evaluate myself, I think about it, what if we're going to get back together? It doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I don't want to use the make sense. I can't find myself anymore to be us, to be together. But with all this knowledge that I'm getting, I'm thinking a lot of things right now. And going back again to my son's question, that was very painful.
Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing. That's not easy to share. These are real issues that happen in our church. And, you know, is it a safe place to share in this church? Should it be a safe place? Should we be able to help and encourage our sisters, our brothers? That's a deep wound. And is this being recorded right now? No? Oh, okay. I got to be careful what I say then. I'll share with you after because I can't share publicly what I want to share with you. So because it's being recorded. But and then one last question, then we're going to move on to, we're going to get through this chart.
It's not really a question.
But a comment?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I wanted to piggyback on Uncle Rex's statement about 50-50. I don't believe it, simply because I think we are whole beings. And by being whole beings, we are a complete being. And being complete means that we're 100%.
Amen.
The quality of that 100% looks different every day. So that 100%, it may be low, and the next day we may be high, but at the end of the day, we're still a complete being, and we're still expected to give fully of ourselves, even though that looks different every day.
And we're going to keep growing. That 100% is going to grow in that, right? That's the beauty of our Christian walk. Are we growing daily? Yes.
We have a couple of church members that is online. So what we're going to do, we're not going to post it. We're going to take it down immediately after the program.
Oh, it's just live, and then it's not going to be online or YouTube.
Right, we're not posting it.
Okay, thank you
We just want to make sure, so you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I'll come back to that then. Thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate it. Everybody is filled out. Let's move on to this nice, wonderful chart here. That this is the model.
How many of you are collaborators? Okay, a few.
Okay.
What about competitors?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes. Okay, yeah.
How about avoiders? Okay. What about compromisers? We've got a good mix.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
what's the best? Okay, well, we're going to dig into this now. This is our favorite chart. We're going to kind of explain that. So in the top left, competing. This is where, if you look on the left side, it says desire or goal or task is really high. And then the desire is very low when you go to the bottom, right? So along the bottom, you have the relationship. It's either high or low. So when you look at competing, it's high on the desire or task, but low on the what? The relationship. So if I'm focused on the task or the goal or just my desires, and I don't reflect, if I'm inflexible and I don't consider what my wife's desires and dreams and goals are, what happens? I may win the goal, I may win what I want, but what's going to happen to the relationship? It's going to suffer. You'll do it on your own. Yeah, exactly. So competing is probably the number one where most people fall into, because are we taught that way? We grew up playing sports. I win, you lose. Even in school, we know we have the grade system. We all want to win. And when I started negotiation, I wanted to win. The better I do, the more better raises I get, the more bonuses. So you want to win the argument. You want to win, right? So that competing is about getting what I want, and you're focusing on your perspective only and not the perspective of the other person. That's so avoiding on the bottom left. How do you want to talk about avoiding? Okay. So this is where we take a step back from the conflict and let it play out. We avoid the conflict. Why? Why do we? Pardon me? It's uncomfortable. Ooh, we got to avoid. Yeah, we don't talk about it. We had a couple we were coaching with, and they said we haven't had conflict for 20 years. And after we started talking to them for an hour, we realized why is because they never talked. If you don't talk and you avoid it all these times, what's happening? Is the relationship healthy? All that stuff is festering, and eventually it's going to be a volcano. It's going to erupt, right? And that's what's going to happen. So with avoiding is going to cause that. So then we move over to the middle. What is the middle? Compromising, 50-50, right? You get 50%, I get 50%. We're both. And when I went to mediations, the mediator would tell us the successful mediation is compromise. Nobody's happy. Because if one party leaves happy, then the other person's lost, right? So you want to, everybody goes away miserable. Does that sound like a good relationship?
So that means I have to give up some of what I want, and he has to give up some of what I want. So we can't have exactly what we want.
Well, then you just give me what I want, and then it's good. Let's go back to competing, right? So then now, if we go over to accommodating, what does that look like? Accepting the perspective of the other party, and we call it truce, and we just want to, you know what? To save the relationship, I'm going to sacrifice my desires, my dreams, my goals, my tasks, just so that I can preserve the relationship, right? That's accommodating. Is that good or bad? It can be bad. Why could it be bad? I hear bad.
It's bad because if you love each other, you will be taking care of the other partner at the same what my concerns are too. So it both ways.
Okay.
So if you're both accommodating, would it be bad?
Yes, I know. No, we should be both accommodating,
Right. Okay.
not just one-sided. One-sided love affair.
So this lady and then this gentleman over here, right here, she was going to make a comment. Oh, you're on the spot now. Oh, right here first. Okay, we'll go here first and then over here.
I would say accommodating is mostly not good.
Okay.
Yeah, there could be situations where it is good to take you through a patch, you know, so that you can go over some pitch. I don't know if I'm using the right word.
Yeah.
But it is not good because sometimes, mostly accommodating is accommodating at all cost. You know, you just want to save the face of the relationship, but deep underneath, you know, things are not okay with you. But you are just accommodating so that it can look like things are okay,
Right.
but deep down.
So if I'm giving in or accommodating, the bitterness or resentment or my feelings could be feeling like I'm a doormat or I'm getting used, and it's one-sided.
Yes.
So that's the danger. Yes. This lady right behind you, and then you. Sorry, the one behind you. Yeah, she had her hand up a bit before. Yeah. And then pass it forward.
I think accommodating is okay if the thing you're accommodating is not as important.
Okay.
Then then the end result is better than you winning, so to say, or getting what you want. But if I'm constantly suppressing what I want to accommodate the other person, I'll become very resentful. And that's bad.
That's bad. Yeah, okay. And the sister in front of you.
I've had to accommodate once in the past. I won't go into detail. But yeah, that was a big thing because I had to reach out to a third party to try and solve the conflict. And we were not able to resolve it. And the other part ended up saying, oh, he'll never change his mind, something like that. So I ended up accommodating, like agreeing to disagree.
Agree to disagree.
I said, okay, let's go forward with it. But I felt like that decision wasn't mine to begin with, and whatever was going to come after it, I wasn't going to, whether good or bad, I wasn't going to be part of that. That's how I felt about it. And as I went, I'm almost 11 years now in marriage, but I'm like, I feel like the more you keep accommodating and accommodating, you end up losing yourself. Some choices you have to make, and you have to be part of the decision. You're not able to make it because you say, okay, I'm just going to accommodate him, maybe for peace, or maybe you're like, okay, he'll never change his mind or on such an issue. But the danger of losing myself and not being part of many decisions I must be part of, I feel like one day it's going to erupt like a volcano and it's going to cause something big, and you won't be able to pinpoint when this content or something started from, because for many years you've been accommodating somebody, you've been accommodating, making sure that everything goes smoothly, but you're losing yourself. That's how I feel.
Losing yourself.
Yeah. About accommodating.
Did you have a comment right behind, and then the back?
Yeah. So I was told that that too much of one thing is never good. So you can accommodate to some degree, but not all the time. For me, I use accommodating as a way of proving my point or my perspective. Because so my wife sometimes
looking over his shoulder.
can be a little bit competitive.
Competitive.
Right. She tries to prove her point more. So what I've been doing since of late, because I've been just analyzing her and observing her. So what I've been doing of lately is to, with the help of ashwagandha, been taking a stress relieving tablet as well. Yeah. So what I've been doing of late is that I accommodate her viewpoint. However, when she finds that her viewpoint is not working, then I come in with my viewpoint. That's what I do. And then at the end, she will say, yes, that was her point, which is actually my point. But I just use that as an example of how I accommodate, how I use accommodating in my relationship.
Okay, and then we'll go to the last one here, collaborating. Is come together to develop a mutually beneficial solution. This is where it's called win-win, right? This is getting to yes. Is this where we ideally we both get a high goal, reach our desires and dreams, and the relationship is preserved? That would probably be the ultimate, right? Oh yeah, sure, share it.
Well, I wanted to say that I wanted to share my definition, I guess, of accommodation.
Okay.
As compared to compromising. I feel like it's two sides to the same coin. Sorry. I feel like compromising is when everyone loses because maybe they're not trying to find a common ground, like no one wants to lose, so you end up compromising. But I feel like accommodating is to, look at the pros and cons of the decision. Let's just say if I lose this argument about dishes, is it gonna be good enough? Sorry, if I win this argument, is it gonna be good enough for it to break our relationship? Like, is that worth our relationship?
Is it worth
a small thing? So it's okay. I will allow my partner to win on this one because pros and cons. So I feel like accommodating is good and compromising is bad. In my
No, these are awesome points.
but in a different perspective.
Let me ask you, and I agree with you, sister. I added a little bit, you can't see it maybe very well, but on the bottom, the relationship, the Bible refers to relationships either hot or cold. What does a hot relationship look like? What does a hot relationship with God look like? On fire. Yeah, we're passionate. We got joy. We're excited, right? What does a cold relationship with God look like? A cold, yeah. Who's God? Yeah, a cold relationship with God look like? We don't want to go to church. We stop coming to church. We stop talking about God. We go in that cold, right? We walk away. We don't want to spend time with Him anymore. Convenience. What does a lukewarm relationship look like? Occasionally. Dangerous. Is that the most dangerous position to be in? Why is that? He's got the answer here. Okay. Open the avenues for the devil. Yeah. What?
So when you're in that situation, that lukewarm
Yeah.
position, that condition,
Yeah.
you believe that you are okay.
Bingo. Yes. Preach it. Yes.
You are okay, and because you believe that you're okay, there's no need for change in your life. But when you are cold and you recognize it, you want to do something about it. Right? In order
Amen.
to move
Amen. So let me ask you a question. If you look at this, compromise is in the middle. Could it be possibly in a lukewarm state? Yes.
I would say compromising is not, but I would put avoiding and accommodating in the lukewarm state. The reason being, when somebody is avoiding,
Avoiding, yeah.
yeah, I am avoiding. I agree with my wife to avoid. My wife is full. She thinks I'm okay. I'm agreeing. She thinks, oh, it's
Yeah, that's the danger. Yeah, if you're avoiding, yeah. Inside,
I'm avoiding.
right.
She doesn't know the truth. If I'm accommodating the same, she doesn't know that I'm just accommodating her. She thinks I'm giving the impression that I'm agreeing with her.
Yes.
So it's lukewarm. We cannot tell whether, there's danger in that.
There's danger.
It would rather be called competing or put competing in the code so that we can deal with this situation because it's a problem. When we are always agreeing and we are trying to
Right.
push your point.
Right.
Or compromising, which is a win-win for both of us, which is the best as far as I'm concerned. Collaborating also has issues because you give up some of your, what you want, because you're trying to come together so that you can work together. Collaborating also falls under lukewarm. It's on the wrong side, but lukewarm.
Okay, we're going to keep going back to that. I love what you're thinking. And what's beautiful, I love the interaction in here because sometimes we're going to go back and forth between different styles because one style may not fit all. Somebody said that before. So sometimes we may need to go to a competing model, depending on the circumstance. Sometimes we need to be in a collaborative. Sometimes it might be a compromise. We might have to use these in different manners. It depends on the situation. And this is, I'm going to give you a really simple example to bring some of this home. And then we're going to use some biblical examples and when different skills, these different ones were used and why. So this morning, we were out for breakfast, and there was only one lemon left. And Doreen and I both grabbed for it at the same time. Here's let's say this is the lemon. Here, grab the water. We'll see the water. This is the lemon. Okay, this is the lemon. Grab it. No, I want. Ooh.
See, we made lemonade.
No, it's mine. I want the lemon.
Just let me have it
No.
this time.
No, I really need the lemon.
Selfish.
Look, let go. I had it first. Okay, what style is that? Would that be competing? Did we both were competing for our own?
And then it went to.
All right, let's do this. Okay, now we have this lemon. You know what? Here, hold on. We both got. You know what? I'll tell you what. Let's just cut
I'm
it.
thirsty. I want lemonade.
No. Just cut it in half. You take half and I take half.
Oh,
Let's
you
cut it
can
in half.
drink half of my lemonade here.
No, we only have one. We only have one lemon.
Oh, okay, let me have some.
So you have half. I'll have half.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, save this. No, that's more than half. So we have half, right? 50-50.
Yeah.
What would accommodating look like? Grab onto it again. And now it'd be almost great. You know what, honey? You really want the lemon?
I do.
You know what? I'd like you to have it. I know. I think
Really?
yes.
Thank you.
So that would be an example of accommodating, right? So avoiding would be nobody gets the lemon, right? You know what? If I can't have the lemon, you can't have it. We're just going to throw it in the garbage. We need that for the next. Just threw the lemon. So, have you heard of the crab mentality? What is crab mentality? Crab. If I can't be happy, neither can you, right? When they put the crabs, yeah, thank you. When they put the crabs in a barrel, they don't have to put a lid on it because each crab, the bottom crabs keep pulling the crabs above them because when the other crabs are trying to get to freedom, the other crabs say, no, you're not. You're staying with me. Misery loves company, right? They keep pulling each other back so they don't have to put a lid on. So the crabs keep on pulling and do you know why they do that? Because they're shellfish. Isn't that true? The selfishness. If I can't have freedom, if I can't have happiness in my life, I don't want you to have it, right? So this selfishness that we have in our life, we hold up. So this avoiding, So now what would the very accommodating, we did avoiding, and now the last one, collaborating. What would collaboration look like? 50-50? No, that's compromising. Coming together, unison. Okay. Leave and cleave, okay. Is there any other solutions?
So what does collaborating look like?
It's creating an idea of it's us,
We. Team. Are we on the same? Oh wow! I wish we'd have known that 24 years ago. We're on the same. We're not fighting against each other. We're fighting together, on the same team. Amen.
So how would you make me feel like I'm on the same team?
Sharing ideas. Actively listening. So we have the conversation. It's dialoguing, right? So, honey, I see that this lemon is really important to you.
It is. Very important.
Can you tell me the reasons, like, why is it so important to you? Can we talk about it?
Yeah.
I just want to understand what, I see it's really important. I just want to understand why.
Well, I just need the lemon zest from it. That's
Lemon zest?
Yes,
What are you going to do with the lemon zest? A recipe?
Making these lemon cranberry muffins, like if I don't put zest in, it's just ugh.
So you want to make a lemon zest muffin. Oh, so that's what you use at muffins, just not lemon extract. You use the zest from a lemon?
Well, I could use the juice, but I have lemon extract I can use.
Okay.
Yeah, so what do you want the lemon for?
Well, I want to make a lemon juice. Yeah, if I wanted to drink with my flaxseed in the morning. I need it for my flaxseed, so the lemon in there because it alkalines my body. So I just want, I need the juice.
Well, that's fine. Just let me zest the lemon, and I'll give you the juice part.
Oh. So when we dialogue and take the time to listen, to understand each other, we now can come up with a collaborative idea, right? And do we both win? We both get our desires met, our needs met, our wants met. We also preserve the relationship, and our relationship is still preserved, right? High relationship. So that's called a win-win solution. But a lot of times we get to our default style. So whatever your default style is, that's usually what we default to, right? So if I'm an accommodator, I'm okay, you have it. If I'm competitive, I'm going to rip it out of your hands. And if I'm a compromiser, let's just put it 50-50. That's just, because it's the easiest, it's the fastest, right? So we don't take the time to listen and to understand and to hear each other, right? So we want to slow down and take the time and have that conversation and truly listen and understanding. So I wanted you guys to divide into, say, just do maybe 6 people here, one group there, one group at the front here, and one group at the back. And I want you to each take a biblical example, and I want you guys so one group on this side, can you do Cain and Abel? And you know the story, but if you want to read it, the reference is there. On the front here, if you guys want to do Abraham and Lot. And then in the back group, if you guys want to get together and talk about Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane and the relationship with the Father. And I want you to go through what is the conflict, describe the conflict, describe what is the conflict style, and then what was the resolution. And then applying it to this model. Not necessarily his interaction with the disciples, but his interaction in his prayer with the Father. And just take 5 minutes to go through all these questions and have some good conversations and talk about the different styles and what you can learn from it. And then you're going to share back. Each group is going to have a leader and share back with us. Still wet? How is this feel? How is this going? Is it too?
We have so much to get through. I'm kind of like, let's rein it in.
Or is it better just to let them know?
No, I think we need to rein it in because they're paying for us to be here.
But there's some old questions, right? All of them like this. So what's my what is that? How does that transfer? So we have a break after this?
Yeah. We'll have to ensure.
It'd be nice if you say that tomorrow you're going to be here.
What time?
Nine. I think nine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
I had one
I will
person
say.
who spoke with us that she went this, but I think we should speak more. Just
Sure.
The opportunity if anybody wants to.
Okay.
Yes.
Parenthesis advertisement, please.
Yes. Okay.
Because if some people do just go in and
Just let them know between 9 and noon or whatever we're available.
Yeah, I'll have them check with Lucy.
Okay. What's the next one we come back? What sheets are we going to go to tonight? Oh.
Pride and inflexible.
Where's the worksheets here? Okay, pick where you want to go next. Because we're way up here.
Yeah, and then we're just going to.
What's my part of this, right? This note here. Can't talk about this.
We didn't define it like a what, but it's probably. You talked about how men donate. It's actually 65%.
Oh, I said 86.
I found it the other day. I googled it.
So it's higher than
81% divorce rate, but
my husband's in that room. My wife's more likely. Yeah, 81%. What's the other?
and 65% of men resist or refuse to accept
Oh, I see.
implants. We'll just skip those.
Did we ever talk about that? I was in the we just added that again and just kind of double. So we just get through the worksheets right afterwards. That's what's that one. Go that one next. After the break. This little thing is good. So really, this we skip right ahead to that.
too. I do. Yes, thank you.
All right. Did you answer all the questions?
Okay, let's stay where you are because we're going to have this answer. We're going to get this group here. Looks like they were done first. So who's the spokesperson in that group and who would like to share, or all of you can share? And who has the mic? Does somebody have the mic? You have the mic. Perfect. Oh, perfect start just to share then.
Okay.
So you had
Cain and
Cain and Abel. And so tell us what the conflict is.
So the conflict was that Cain brought a sacrifice of fruits to God, whereas Abel brought a sacrifice of lamb, a flock, according to the biblical scriptures. But God preferred the flock over the fruits, causing Cain to be jealous of Abel, and
Jealousy.
in turn killed Abel.
Okay, so there's the conflict. That's the story. Okay. Now, what conflict style was used?
Conflict style, in our agreement, was competing. They tried
Yes,
to-
compete. So, what did that look like?
They were trying to get the attention of God, or to be more acceptable in God's eyes.
And how did that competing style go?
Rage, anger.
Rage and anger, yes, and then eventually.
Well, when we reached the third question, it says the third question was the resolution. Well, he was dead, so.
That was he got rid of the problem.
Yeah. So.
He killed the problem. He resolved it permanently. Right. So again, that competition or competitive style can lead to rage, anger, because we don't get what we want, and leads to jealousy, envy, pride. And that as that anger grows, we have the ability to actually commit murder, right? And the desire of the heart, we commit. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, if you want to hand the mic over to somebody over here, and the spokesperson on this side of the room. Hey, voluntold. Yeah.
Okay,
So you guys have Abraham and Lot?
Yes, it's Abraham and
Okay,
Lot.
what's the conflict?
Well, the conflict is the grazing land not being enough, resulting in the servants of Abraham and Lot fighting.
So the land wasn't enough because they were so
Yes,
prosperous.
Prosperous.
It's a good problem to have.
Yes.
But nevertheless, it did cause a problem where now they didn't have enough land. Right, okay?
Yeah.
So what was the conflict style that was happening?
The conflict style they used was avoiding. So, because Abraham says to Lot, if you choose the east, I'll go to the west. Meaning he did not want them to, come together again. What's the resolution? To come apart. But there's one thing we saw. Abraham still loved Lot, even though they were apart. Remember,
Right.
there was a time the angels came, telling Abraham they were going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, where Lot was second. And Abraham starts asking, if there were 50 righteous men, would you destroy the righteous and it comes down up to 10 and so on. He's thinking about Lot. That
Okay.
Lot should not be destroyed together with the evil people. He still had the heart for Lot.
Okay.
Although they were resolved to come apart so that they could not share the same grazing land and so on.
So I'm going to just question on that. If they would have avoided the conflict, what would that have looked like?
Actually, we had like two perspectives.
Oh, two perspectives. Okay, let me hear the other perspective.
Yeah, because I was saying today, I'm not sure if I understood every meanings of the words here, but for me, they were using the compromising.
Okay.
What I say that because by the way they were there, with the conflict with the people, they get together and they figure out, and actually Abraham, it would be better to be separated.
Separate.
I don't think they avoid the conflict because they get together to speak about the conflict. And as they understood the situation, they decide, and then Abraham said, okay, you choose the place you are going to go, and then I choose, I go to the other side.
Right.
So what I understood is they get together, they face what's going on there, and they figure out the best part for each other one. So it was what I thought, my perspective. I'm not
sure. So,
if I
so
understood properly the
did Lot have any part of the conflict resolution? What was his idea? Okay, you said no. So what was he doing? So what's Lot's involvement? So there's two parties. Lot's one. What did Lot do?
Well, the Bible doesn't say. It just says Abraham says to Lot, "Let there be no strife between us. If you go to the west, I'll go to the east." We don't see
Right.
Lot. We don't see Lot taking part in the decision. There's
No. So what do you see Abraham doing?
He's avoiding.
Okay. My perspective, I think that Abraham was accommodating Lot. So hand him the mic. I want to hear under your thought process. Share your perspective with the group. Share your perspective and help, because this is good. You're working through the different, this is good. These are real live biblical examples.
During our discussion, we mentioned that this was avoiding, and I was like, both parties did not reject the land they were fighting over. So it's not avoiding.
Yeah.
But I think it's accommodating because Abraham gave Lot a chance to choose.
Yeah.
That's my understanding.
No, but he gave it away. Why would you do that? I mean, he had the control, right? He could have been competitive and said, you know what? I'm taking this land, you're getting this. I find that fascinating that Abraham had the power, and but he's the one that said, you know what, Lot, you choose. Why would he, do you think he was resentful at it? After he said that? Was he resentful? Why wasn't he resentful?
Abraham had power, but it was tapered by the Holy Spirit. And that's the difference.
Thank you.
Any pastor can lead a church, but it takes a man of God to lead
Yes.
the church in the Lord.
Hmm.
And that's the difference in Abraham. He had power, but it was tapered by the Holy Spirit. So every decision he made was based on
Amen. Amen. Does that apply to us too? Being tempered by the Holy Spirit? And no greater love than a man, lay down his life for another. When I sacrifice my desires, my want, Abraham could have chose the best. But he says, no, Lot, you choose the best. You take it. Wow, isn't that, Abraham is such a man of faith, such a man of God, right? Just to do that very act of allowing Lot to choose, it just shows, I think, you by the Spirit. He was led by the Spirit, right?
Abraham knew that God's ability to bless is not determined by location.
Oh, yeah, by circumstance. Thank you, yes.
Where is accommodating on the relationship scale? Is it low or is it high? It's high.
So he preserved the relationship with Lot, right? That was more important to him than getting what he wanted, getting the best land, right? So he was willing to accommodate, but he didn't resent it because he did it out of the Spirit of God, right? Thank you.
So competing and avoiding are low relationship orientation, right? It's more about what I want rather than about the relationship. So what else is on the high relationship side? There's accommodating and collaborating. Those two are high relationship.
Thank you for the discussion. Now we've had a bit of discussion. Would you still compromise or avoiding, or do we think accommodating? Accommodating, does that make sense? Okay, thank you. A great discussion. I love the discussions. And the whole idea is to get our thoughts to thinking of what it looks like in different relationships and how it would work. Okay, the back. You guys took on the Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. Who's this? Oh, he's getting the mic here, this young man.
Yeah, I think we had a very, very rich discussion here.
Oh, good.
Talking about Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. I'm not sure how we ended up with this one, but the ideas that were shared were so powerful, because the conflict that we spoke about is Christ was there in prayer, and he said he prayed until his sweat became like blood. Right? So the conflict, there was something internally going on in the spiritual realm, in the emotional realm, in the psychological realm, as Jesus was there, connecting with his Father and having this conversation and coming to that space where, the conflict style that we're seeing happening in that is Jesus was really collaborating with his Father to save us. Right? He was there collaborating to save us. And the resolution is when he looked and he said, not my will.
Not my will.
Not my will, Lord, but yours be done. I realized that this is the only way. This is the only way to save that group.
So when he said, not my will, but yours, what kind of style was that?
I was looking at it, and, that was collaboration. That was collaboration, that was accommodating.
Yeah.
Right?
Both.
Yeah.
Both. So he was collaborating. They were having a dialogue. Prayer is a dialogue with God, right? So they're having the conversation is dialogue. And the conclusion at the end of it was, not my will, but thy will. And he chose to what? To go to the cross for you and for me, so that he could preserve our relationship with God in heaven, so we could be restored. Isn't that beautiful? So again, there's so many beautiful scripture examples of different styles that are used, right? Of these conflict models, and it's just learning different.
Which one showed up the most, like in the three stories? When you think of the conflict style, which one won out the most out of all three stories that you guys? I noticed accommodating, because accommodating happened in your story. It happened at the back in your story. This one was competing. We often think...
What happened in the competing one, though? Didn't turn out so good.
No, it didn't. And avoiding doesn't turn out good either, because the relationship suffers. But when we go to the collaboration and the accommodating, the relationship wins. The only thing, someone mentioned over here about accommodating, if we are both not accommodating, then it doesn't work. Ideally, this is what Christ wants. He wants us to really have a collaborating, accommodating conflict style where we're both accommodating. So one time I accommodate, next time he accommodates, next time, right? So we're back and forth, so neither one of us feel like a doormat.
And we don't want to move over to the far side of the avoiding, or we don't want to go to the competing, because that's going to damage the relationship every time. So we try for collaboration. That's the goal. Wouldn't that be, everybody gets high goal. We meet our desires and wants and dreams. And if we can't come to a collaboration, if it's impossible, then we can maybe go to accommodating, right?
Maybe sometimes compromising. But when we are feeling loved by each other in a relationship, we're going to gladly accommodate. We're going to gladly compromise once in a while.
We don't have time for it. We're going to end. We have a little break here. We're going to take 5 minutes. But the story of Mary and Martha, was there conflict? What was the conflict? Martha was busy serving and preparing for Jesus, right? And all the group, right? And what was Mary doing? Laziness, sitting at the feet of Jesus, right? Jesus is lazy, right? And Martha's doing all the work. Are there doers and people that are more relaxed here? Does that cause a lot of stress in relationships? One's a doer and one's more of a relational. So what was the resolution? Who did they go to? What did Martha do? She came to Christ to present. So we went to a mediator or somebody, third party. Look, my sister's doing nothing. She's lazy. She's sitting. Have her come help, right? And what did Jesus say to her? She wasn't lazy. Thank you. What was she? She needed to be doing. And what was that? Sitting at the feet of Jesus. And what did Jesus say to Martha? Amen. Jesus says, Mary is doing what is good. Let her alone. So where is he focusing? He was focusing on the relationship. If we serve without a relationship, what is it? It's void. It's empty. It's works. But when we serve out of a relationship, so we need to come to the feet of Jesus before we serve. If we serve without being at the feet of Jesus, what are we doing? We're just doing works, and we serve as like in 1 Corinthians 13, verses 1-3. We can do all these wonderful things. We can be elders. We can do ministry and doing their community. We can be martyrs. We can be doing all these wonderful prophecy seminars. We can be doing community events, but have not love. Do not have the relationship. It's all what? It's void. It's empty. It's a clang, right? So we encourage you to move towards the relationship-focused side of that chart and to start to take the time to dialogue, to collaborate. And that's what we're going to do when we come back after our break. We're going to teach you some dialogue skills as we end to show you how to move towards collaboration.
Yes, and identify, again, what's holding us back from moving towards collaboration. So let's just take a 10-minute break. We'll come back. What time is it?
4:30.
4:30. We'll come back at 4:40. Oh, one more. Yes. So, your church has had a stay tomorrow to accommodate anybody who would like to do. There's spots for 3 coaching sessions. Can be individuals, can be couples. And if you'd like to take part in that, you can chat with Lucy and she'll book you in at 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and 1 o'clock. If you know someone who would like to take part in it, there is a fee. She can let you know,
But if there's a relationship, if it's a marital relationship, a parent-child relationship, any relationship that is in conflict or something that is stirred up this weekend or whatever, we just want to be there for you tomorrow. We're going to have that time set aside if anybody wants to talk. We encourage you, invite you to spend some time just going through whatever the conflict is, that we can maybe have a dialogue and maybe move you from gridlock to discussion, right? Collaboration. Okay, let's take a 10-minute break.
Okay, we're going to hand out some more sheets to you.
Just had them all. Or which ones? Which ones are going to give you a chance to do? Which ones are going to get you yours?
Yeah, one each. Yeah, one of each. Gemini.
Yeah, that's how we do it. I was thinking the same thing. So instead of. No, it's, well, ours is different. So I go there first? Yeah, I'm going to just touch it. Just go back. Yeah. Maybe you start explaining what it is. But I don't know. Maybe it's more of a. All right.
All right, thanks for handing those out. So, right now we're going to go into some self-discovery again and how what we're thinking creates us to either be flexible or inflexible or accept influence or not. So are we resistant or are we accepting? So these are just different ways of saying it. So if we were to define what inflexible is, or flexible or accepting influence, would be accepting, understanding, and allowing your loved one's perspectives, feelings, and needs into your decision-making process. So you can imagine.
But what if I'm right?
What do you mean if you're right?
Then what if my way's right?
No, I'm right.
No, you're not. My perspective is the correct perspective.
Really?
Yeah.
So what if I'm actually right and you're wrong?
That's not possible.
Oh,
Because I read it somewhere that this is the way it is.
you researched it.
I researched
so
it.
You're
This-
basing
this is
your
100%.
decision on research,
Yes.
so you're right.
Yes.
But what if I don't feel like doing that?
Well, it's not about feeling, just doing whatever right because
What do you
it's
mean
right.
It's not about feeling.
You do what's right because it's right, not because of what you feel like.
Can you see how he's speaking logically out of his head and I'm speaking from the heart? You know, I feel this is why I want. So you can see how you can miss each other in conversation, right? Completely miss each other. So either I have to become logical and we have a logical conversation, or he's got to drop down to his heart and have a heart conversation with me. And this is what we work with couples to do. Because many times love is a principle, and we don't spend enough time making it an emotion as well.
So let me ask you a question. This is going to be, should we base decisions on logic or on feeling? Pardon me? What do you think is the correct? What do you think about a relationship? So when we make a decision and when you have a conflict, do you make it on logic or on emotion? The decision.
On emotion first. It should be on both.
Both. And what's your comment?
Both as well.
Both. Why both? Okay, help us understand why both.
I'm not sure where the microphone is.
The reason why I'm saying it should be on both logic and feelings or emotions is because it must make sense. The decision must make sense on one hand, and on the other hand, it must not hurt the feelings of the other person or the people involved. At the end of the day, we should all feel good about the decision we have made. It must make sense such that we all feel good about the decision we have made.
Okay, thank you. And what about you, Lucy? You answered both as well. I'd like to know your perspective.
I said both because, like, not long ago we had this seminar with him, and when your cognitive brain is not in accord with your limbic system,
the emotional brain,
you are broken. Like, you cannot make decisions clearly, because if you take decisions with your reason only, you are ignoring part of who you are and who the other person is. And if you take decisions with your emotions only, you are ignoring consequences that may happen because you are just being emotional, you know? So you need to find this balance between reason and emotion.
They should be married together, right? You can't separate them. No, beautiful, well said.
Yeah, in psychology they call this disassociation, where we're either in the head or in the heart, and we disassociate our feelings.
And when we
from
coach a lot of
logic.
couples, that's exactly, one's going from here, one's going from here, and where there's just like, it creates a huge conflict, right? Not only are we conflicted in the mind, but we're all in the relationship is conflicted.
Yeah, this is more of a comment, but even though you're saying both, you still have to be mindful of the fact that sometimes emotion takes over, right? In the sense that what you spoke about emotional intelligence.
Yep.
So when, for example, you're doing a presentation, right, and you're appealing to the fans or the person, the spectators who are listening to you, right? At times, by appealing to them, your emotion comes out in the presentation, right? And at times, you take over the whole presentation. You have to be mindful of that at the same time. So I guess that's where the whole talk of emotional intelligence comes into being.
Yes, thank you. So, and then the model, the emotional intelligence model, the think, feel, act triangle. So, so we think, feel, act. So our thoughts produce our feelings, and our feelings usually produce our actions. Most people are acting out of emotion, and what they call, Dr. Nidley in his book talks about crooked thinking. ABC is the correct thing, but crooked thinking is when we skip the logic and go to make a decision with the emotions without having the both, right? But you need the both. You need the logic, you need what we're thinking, and our hearts working. And if my emotion is out of balance or in check, this is where I manage my emotions or be aware of my emotions. Is this emotion healthy? Is this emotion, truthful? Is it emotion that's going to get me like anger? You guys had, Cain and Abel, right? Was that emotion good or bad? Or what's going to cause me to? So emotion is the signal, and I can now look at the signal. Is this a good signal? Then I'm going to proceed. If it's a bad signal, I'm going to go back and make another decision before I act on it, right? Because Cain didn't do that. And actually, if you keep reading on there, the Lord talks about him, sin is crouching at the door. He had the opportunity to make a decision before he committed it. So again, it's both, and it's really beautiful. We have to, but a lot of times we are coaching a lot of couples that a lot of times the man is from the logic, everything has to make sense here, and the woman's more here, and that's where he's not accepting influence. Well, it's not logical decision. So then there's this causing a lot of pain and misunderstanding and hurt in the relationship.
Yes.
I think my husband and I were the kind of couple you just talked about. He's on the logic side and I'm emotional one.
Okay.
And I felt like after having my boys, I was emotional through and through. Because here, most of the people here are shift workers, right? So 6 days on, 6 days off, 6 days, something like that.
Okay.
So I was spending time with the kids. At the end of the day, I need to speak to an adult and I need to have that conversation. And he's tired, right? Mm-hmm. Then it ended up building anger and some kind of resentment in the process. It took years for us to just sit down and talk like, you know what, just spending every night with you for the past 3 months. He had to work days for a long period of time. I felt the greatest relief in my life. That's when we sat down and it's not about actually talking. Sometimes it's just being there with you. So to him, I was like, you should take time off. That was my argument. You should take time off. I can't handle this. And he's saying, look, we have kids, we've got these bills, we need to do this, and we have to accomplish these goals. I'm like, I understand all that, but I just want you, I'm happy when you don't go to work. That's what I told him. And his logic is looking at the bills and everything, but I'm like, I'm the happiest when you're here and you're not going to work. So coming to and talking about it helped us figure out that, yes, I'm emotional, and sometimes I just have kids and I'm spending days with kids, and this is me giving my all through the day, and I just want to have that time to just sit with a friend. And you are working for our family, and I appreciate that because you're doing for us, but I need more. And it seemed unreasonable, and sometimes I feel like it's unreasonable. But to be honest, up to this day, when he's on off days, those are my best days. And if he has to work a long stretch of days, and every night he's getting well rested when we're having conversations like that, I appreciate that. So sometimes it's not logical. Sometimes it's just what I need and where I am as a mother, as a wife, that stage I am in my life, what do I need right now? But sometimes it doesn't make sense, to be honest.
Is the male brain and the female brain identical? No. Is there a difference? And what is the difference? Is there different hormones? And do the different hormones create different? Are the women tend to naturally be more emotional? Is the hormone? Yeah. So did God create that? Is it a good thing? Amen. So I would want my wife in the home making decisions with our children because she has more emotional compassion with them versus just strictly logic. And I think, right now they talk about a lot of danger with AI, right? Artificial intelligence. What's the challenge with artificial intelligence? There's no heart, there's no emotion, right? And you take the emotion away from the logic, we're capable of doing some very not good things. There's no compassion, there's no love, there's no mercy, right? So when we make those decisions based on the heart and the relationship versus just strictly logic. I was strictly logic. It doesn't make sense to travel. It makes more sense to save the money and keep the money in the bank, but I destroyed the relationship. And she wanted even going out for dinner, like we always are very...
Honey.
Yes.
Can we go for Indian food for our date this week?
Indian food is kind of spicy. I don't really like Indian food, but why don't we go to my favorite restaurant in Airdrie, the Greek restaurant?
The Greek restaurant.
Yeah, the one we know is really good. We can get a Greek salad, Greek potatoes, and a Hispanic pita, which I know you like. We'll get that.
You sure you want to try something new?
You know what? It may not taste that good, and we'll spend some more money, and it's too much risk. Like it probably is not. Yeah, no. Let's just go what we know is. We don't want to waste money going for dinner if it doesn't going to taste good.
Okay. So we get to the restaurant, and the waitress gives us both menus to look at.
Very dangerous to give a woman a menu.
So I'm like, oh, I've not had this before.
Oh, you see look at the price of that.
Giganti beans.
That's pretty.
Can we try these?
You know what? Why don't we share it? We'll split it. We'll get one dish and we'll just share it. Yeah, because look at the price.
Just one dish.
Yeah. And look at there's drinks. Drinks are such a waste. You just get water. Let's have water. None of those fancy drinks. You know what? The markup in those. That's where they make all their money, right? So if we have water.
I'd really like this Greek salad. Like this is really nice too.
Okay, well. Why don't if we split those, we'll get a Greek salad and then some of those gigantic beans, then we'll split it.
Can we get the large salad?
Oh no, that's look at the price.
Not the large.
No.
Okay.
Was I accepting influence? Was I being flexible? Does this happen?
24 years. Actually, even more.
So how do you think she feels?
Resentful? You heard me say 24 years.
Ooh, look at those women going.
Resentment? Yeah, our kids would have to share a meal if we did go out to eat.
I'm just being frugal, cost thriftiness.
Yeah. So, and when we went out.
Was it logical? It's logical. I mean, the menu. Thank you. You say, yeah.
And we went to the same venues to eat. Subway, Taco Time. Subway, Taco Time.
Yeah, they were
right?
full.
That was the.
That's fine dining, Taco
and
Time.
It was maybe once every 2 months, right? It wasn't very often. So I had to have a conversation with him. I used my gentle startup, and I went ahead and I just shared, and I didn't use you statements, I used I statements. I said, honey.
This is after we repaired. She didn't use that language before, right? Just to clarify, this is in the last 12.
Honey.
Yes, honey.
I'm not sure how to express my emotion and my needs right now, but I'm going to do my best. When we go out to eat together, I so appreciate that you're willing to spend the money to go, and because I know it's expensive for a family of 4. When we go out to eat, I really desire to have my own plate of food, and for the kids to have their own plate of food, and for you too. I don't know.
So you don't necessarily want to share a meal?
I don't mind sharing half of my plate with half of yours, but we usually go away hungry.
So you want to get 2 items and then share them?
Yeah, 2 items and we'll share them, or 4 and we'll all share. And to try some new things on the menu and new restaurants.
New things?
Yeah, I
like
just
what?
have this desire to try different ethnic foods and.
Really?
Yeah.
So you not want to go to the same place all the time, the same food, and guarantee it's good?
I like food to taste good, but I actually would like to enjoy the experience of something new and take the risk. It's going to be terrible.
So what I'm hearing is that you'd rather take the risk and have the adventure is more important than the actual quality of the food.
Yes.
Really? I didn't know that.
And just the fun to all of us to experience something new.
Okay, I hear you.
You do?
So I do. It took me 24 years, but.
You're going to ask why.
We got to be careful with the whys, because that can be create Why? Yeah. It's the defensiveness. So once I listened to her and I accepted the influence of what she wanted, what she desired, instead of what I wanted, what I desired my way, and what I thought was best, once I heard her perspective, guess what? And I accepted influence and then became flexible. Now, guess what I'm doing? Pardon me?
Now it's logic.
Explain.
Because
Why is it logic now?
it's logic because if you want a happy life, you want a happy wife.
There's the logic.
Logic. See? Consequence.
Happy-
Happy life, happy life.
And there's some logic to that, absolutely.
Logic.
So,
Guess what Guess what he did? We were in Edmonton. I think we were going there to do a seminar. Was it last year or the year before?
6 months ago.
Yeah, it was last year. And we had to go do something, and he was really like, we need to get, I need to get going. We need to go. And I'm like, well, we still have 2 hours. He's like, yeah, but we should probably stop somewhere and have something to eat. I didn't know he had this all planned. So he had arranged at this Ethiopian restaurant for us to have a meal because that was the next cuisine on my bucket list, was to experience Ethiopian food. So he pulls up to this Ethiopian restaurant. My eyes go big. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, I was trying to keep it as a surprise, right? So we go in and we have this amazing meal. And he liked it.
it was my best meal ever. So, I'm not adventurous by nature. And I'm a little bit, maybe you get the theme here, I'm a little frugal. But you know what? Once I started accepting influence from my wife and started being flexible and started to be more adventurous, and we go to different restaurants all the time. We don't very rarely go to the same one anymore because I know my wife likes adventure. So I'm now being more adventurous, and I'm actually enjoying it. Because a lot of times we're not comfortable with something, so we don't do it. Right? This is what I know. This is what I always try. Those my mom did. My mom's mom did that. My mom's mom's. We kind of inherit culture, tradition, and way we did it in the past. So we had to break those cycles and say, you know what? Adventure is good. Adventure is good. Like, I'm enjoying adventure now. Yeah, it's great.
So did he break the conflict? Our conflict. I just sat there in silence, and I was never happy when we went out to eat, and I showed my unhappiness. And I thought he would get it. And maybe he did, but he dismissed it because he was worried more about the money, and he knew if he addressed my emotions, he'd have to spend more money, possibly, right? So what do? We dismiss the emotion that you're seeing in your spouse. But now, he has broken our conflict style, and I did by not avoiding talking about it. I was avoiding and just showing, disgust with body language instead of speaking what my needs were. And when I finally spoke my needs, taking the risk that he wasn't going to hear me, but he decided to hear me. And was it easy for him to hear me, how I spoke to him?
The gentle startup.
Gentle startup. Expressing what I feel, what I need, not what he's doing wrong. I could have said, honey, every time we go out, we have to share meals, and we can't buy drinks. We can't, heaven forbid, we order dessert. And I could have gone on like that. Would it be easy for him to hear me? No, so I had to learn to speak in a way that was easy for him to hear me. And to be that safe space for him, because my expressiveness was not a safe space for him. So I had to rein in the expressiveness so he could hear me.
So why does accepting influence matter? Happy wife, happy life was one reason, absolutely. Conflict is easier and there's less of it. Do you think we have less conflict in our marriage now? Way less conflict.
Because we are accepting influence from each other. So when you're a parent, I always tell parents, ask yourself, why not yes? Why not yes? So Marlon's saying, why not yes to this?
This is just an example.
If it's going to improve our relationship, he decided the goal of saving money once in a while was not worth it to destroy the relationship. So he had decided relationship was more important. Why not yes?
So to add to that, with my daughter, so this is just recent. She came home, and we're just trying to identify what she likes to play games. Does anybody here play Dutch Blitz? I hate Dutch Blitz, but my daughter loves Dutch Blitz. So she came home, wanted to play. What do you think I said? No. But why don't we go play pickleball? So she played pickleball. But at the end of it, you know what? I want to influence her so she will do what I want to do. I don't accept influence and do what she wants to do. How do you think that makes her feel? Not acceptable? Not accepted? Rejected? That's the message I'm sending, right? Hey, you're not important to me. We're only going to do what I want to do. And we went, and I started looking back at over my years, and it's like, oh, man, that's what I do. I try to manipulate, I try to change so that people will do what I want to do, and I try to manipulate the circumstances and what we're going to do, and not just say, hey, you know what? Let's go, let's play Dutch Blitz. Sure, let's do it. I'm horrible at it. I'm going to lose badly because my brain is slow approaching. By the time I get my card down, there's already 6 more on top of it, so I'm not good. But so it's frustrating, but it's about the connection. It's about letting her know that I want to do what she's going to do. It's just like, do you have craft shows in Fort McMurray or in Edmonton? My wife loves craft shows. I hate craft shows, right? Because craft shows, you have to pay to get in. And then you got a bunch of vendors that are overpriced. So every time for 24 years, my wife would ask me, I said, not a chance. I'd rather watch paint dry. Thanks. I'm not paying to go in there and spend money on all these high-priced vendors. After we got married, and now and when we started repairing, is I actually go to craft shows with my wife.
He does. In fact, he surprised me the first time by buying tickets online. He said, we have a date this Thursday. I said, oh, where are we going? To a craft show. I'm like, really? I was so shocked. But guess how it made me feel?
Horrible.
So good.
Horribly good.
Finally, my husband's going to a craft show with me. And what happened?
Well, I don't want to tell that part.
Do you know?
Okay, I bought a lot of stuff. Okay, it was really cool. I got I got this crokinole board that was handcrafted, and it was only $90. It was beautiful. It was wow.
And he spent $90 on it. Can you believe that?
And you know what else? We held hands the whole time, walking up and down the aisles, and they had little samples, and we were feeding each other. My love language is quality time, physical touch. We had a lot of, so you know what? When we change the mindset and we have a shift and we start accepting influence and accepting the adventure, you know what? We can change to enjoy, to appreciate. And what is the message I'm sending to my wife? What you're interested in, I'm interested in, and ultimately I'm saying I'm interested in
you.
I'm interested in you, baby.
Yeah.
Because what you're interested in, I'm going to be interested in, and I'm going to learn to appreciate because I really want to spend time with you, right? That's what kind of accepting influence really looks like in a nutshell.
So when you go back, the next why it matters is you feel like teammates rather than opponents. So when we went out to eat, I felt like I was having to battle him every single time. I didn't feel like he was on the same team as me. And it can be just as simple as a conflict like that over going out to a restaurant or getting food to eat. I couldn't have a foot-long sub. I had to have a 6-inch, right?
No, we buy a foot-long because then it's cheaper because then they split it for us, so then we each get 6.
Yeah. Anyway, so you create this environment of on the same team, I have your back. I hear you. And then that builds greater trust and satisfaction over the long term.
And you know what?
Because I can trust that he hears me.
What's cheaper Having her order her own meal at a restaurant or paying for a divorce? The restaurant, you know what? Because all this, what I was doing, all these little things that I thought was no big deal, my wife was filing for a divorce, right? So was it worth saving over my career or marriage $500 worth of extra plates versus the cost of a divorce, the cost of my wife being happy and miserable and losing my family? So sometimes the priorities of perspective gets out of.
So we have many situations in our relationships with our children, with our spouses, our friends, where we're not accepting influence. So there might be many different ones. And people say, you mean the divorce happened over a meal? Because that was the last straw that broke the camel's back, right? And they'll say, I can't believe she's divorcing him over that meal.
Yeah, I can't believe you were either.
That meal. It was all the years of us not accepting influence and turning towards
bills
each other's
and bills
desires.
and bills and bills.
So one of them was travel, you heard this morning. So when we were married 5 years, I said, honey, can we go to Quebec City in the winter and go stay in the ice hotel? That's something I've always wanted to do.
You know what? We just
Anniversary.
finally bought that Honda Civic you wanted, and now, let's get that paid off, because now we have that lease payment.
Oh.
Yeah. So we get the car paid off, then we can talk about travel.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Because I have 5 years of air
Honey,
miles
it's just,
saved
what?
up for flights.
The air miles, that's such a scam. But you know what? You still have to pay your taxes, and you got to pay for your hotel, and you got to pay for the rental car. So it's not free. It's a marketing gimmick. So yeah.
Wait another 5 years, the car's paid off. I'm like, oh, perfect. Honey, for our 10-year anniversary, we have enough air miles, flight points to go to Hawaii. Let's go to Hawaii.
Honey, we paid off the Civic, I know, but we now got a mortgage. And if we put that money on that you've saved up for the travel, we put that on a mortgage, we could then, so let's put it towards the mortgage, and then we can talk about travel like later. Let's get that mortgage right now, because the sooner that we put those payments on, it's going to pay down the principal faster. We're going to pay the interest. We'll save hundreds of thousands of dollars of interest.
Pay off the mortgage. Okay. So 15 years comes along. And our church is having a mission trip to Belize. I'm like, honey.
Yes, honey?
There's a mission trip to Belize, and it's going to be so full of purpose, and we get to do a week of work and then a week of travel.
So can we write it off, like on charitable donation, and get a tax receipt for that?
Yes.
Okay, we'll consider that then. That sounds like a good investment.
And we have 15 years of air miles saved up and the taxes for the flights. And I have money saved up for 15 years for a travel fund.
Okay, let's do it. So
really?
We bought the tickets. And the week before we were flying,
you'll never guess what happened.
I gave my ticket away. No, I'm not.
Kidding.
I gave my ticket to another person and I didn't go.
Can you believe it?
I see some mouths dropping. I'm not get out of here alive, but I gave my ticket away. See, I had a fear of traveling, which I didn't tell my wife because I avoided this conflict. So I had a major anxiety and fear of travel. So I wanted to go with her, but then I was like, last minute I gave my ticket away. So I didn't go. So obviously, how well that affected my marriage at 15 years. And then at 20 years, it was our 20th anniversary. I'm thinking I'm going to surprise her. And I was at Costco, and they had Planet Earth DVD series on sale. I thought, okay, my wife likes to travel to see the world. We can do it from our comfort of our own living room, right? And it was only $99. It was on sale. So I bought this DVD set for our 20th anniversary. You guys are thinking this is great, right?
It's not funny.
No, I know it's not funny. It's serious. It's great. So I plug it in. She gets home from work, right? And I said, honey, I have a surprise for you. Yeah.
We're going to go somewhere.
Yeah, where would you like to go?
What do you mean where I'd like to go?
Anywhere in the world
Let's
we'd like to go.
on a Mediterranean cruise. We have
Mediterranean? You like to go to the
Mediterranean?
Okay, come downstairs, and we'll go to the Mediterranean tonight.
What? are you talking about?
Yeah, I bought Planet Earth, and I got popcorn. I got some non-alcoholic sparkling wine down. We can celebrate our 20th anniversary. And
You are joking.
no, seriously, I did. I bought it for you. Aren't you excited?
I'm not excited. I took them and I threw them in the trash.
What, no. How ungrateful! $100 just thrown in the trash.
I was crushed. Do you know how we talked about the 4 horsemen? Criticism, defensiveness, what was the third one? Contempt. 20 years of turning away from my bid
And not accepting influence.
like contempt. It was like a knife through my heart. So for the next 4 years,
Not
I
good.
shut down.
No more
And on
bidding, no more
24th,
talking, no more asking to accept influence.
I avoided everything. But I had all this money in this travel fund. So after being married for 24 years, guess where I went? I went to Florida, right? And then from there, I went to the Bahamas. And I traveled on my own for a month.
What do you mean, of course? Who's saying that? Who said that? Oh, come on.
So,
Taking sides.
but the one thing I didn't share is I was not happy.
You were miserable.
I had tremors, I was shaking, I was miserable.
And I developed Crohn's disease. I was not happy either.
So here, I was thinking, when I got off the plane, there was a happy moment. This is what it feels like, the humidity and the heat. And the first place I went was to the beach. And then the next day, it hit me. Like, no one's here to enjoy it with me. Yeah.
So we have a sheet now to identify areas of we don't accept influence. It's called identifying inflexibility. Take a few minutes
I'm thinking, can we make a change?
No, I'm not. Oh, wait a minute. This is on flexible. You can't. You're not public. Like, I have to be flexible. Yes, dear, we can make a change. How would you? How would you like to change it? You go ahead and change it the way you want.
Can we do the dreams within conflict? And they can do the same?
Yes, we can dream together, baby. Get the dreams, handle the dreams.
Okay, if it's okay, I'm gonna let you guys take this home, but these ones we had inflexibility, and then the next one was your inflexible list of things your hardline feel like inflexible.
So that's an example of accepting influence and being flexible.
Think about it in your relationship with your siblings, with your whatever relationship you want to choose. How is your relationship? What is in it that's inflexible for you? Because it could be rooted in them not turning and accepting influence, so you become hard on this. But can you say yes to it and move it in the flexible column? So that's one, and identify what are the things I'm inflexible, hardline, no compromise, that's causing conflict in my relationship. And can I say yes and yield to win and put some of them in the flexible column? So that's what that one is about. But the next one, dreams within conflict. This is so important because it's about how to ask the right questions to move from gridlock to solving the problem.
Is there one for us?
Yeah.
Yeah, grab one.
And since we only have about 40 minutes, and then there's another one we're going to let you take home with you. It's called A Better Way to Fight. And this also, yeah, we can hand that out too. But that one as well is just a little guide for you when you have conflict with someone, to sit down with them and follow the steps to resolve the conflict. And it's a lot of what we've talked about today. It's just a systematic approach.
So we'll just kind of quickly review this in our time left. And no, it doesn't have it. No. So you're going to have to they have the sheet, so you can just go off here. So dreams within a conflict. This is really, when we talked about the conflict with the desires or the dream, what's the need, the unmet need, the interests, those values, this is really where we get hung up and what's important to the other person.
Yeah, and you'll see under the heading Dreams Within Conflict, it says a way to work on a gridlocked or perpetual problem.
Like travel.
Like travel.
Or eating.
Like eating out, right? Or parenting styles.
Or-
one's a saver, one's a spender, one's a camper, one's a 5-star resort. Like these big differences that influence and impact your relationship.
So what is the speaker's role?
So it's to, the speaker's role, your task is to honestly talk about your feelings and beliefs about your position on the issue. Explore what this position means to you, what the dream might be behind your position, and tell the story of the source of this dream or this belief. So what's the background story to the belief? Where it comes from and what it symbolizes. You must be clear and honest. Try to make your loved one understand. Don't argue for or try to persuade your loved one. Marlon talked about how his style was persuasion of your point of view. Just explain how you see things. Tell
them your thoughts.
Tell them your thoughts and feelings about your position on the issue. You may want to look over the list on the following page for examples of dreams that people sometimes have, or maybe they've lost their dream and they don't speak about it anymore. That could underlie the position you've taken on the issue. So it's really a lot more than that issue. Was it travel? Was travel the issue? And we're going to go through this. Now, what about the speaker's job, honey?
Your job is to make your loved one feel safe enough to tell you what's behind their position on the issue, their belief, dream, or story. To create the safe space, you will listen the way a friend would listen. Ask the dream catcher questions that are listed on the next page, which draw out your loved one's point of view. You can contribute to this climate if you suspend judgment. Don't act like the judge, but like someone who wants to hear your loved one's story and the dream behind the story. Just listen or hear it and don't judge it, don't evaluate it, don't use logic, just listen. Don't try to solve the problem. It's much too soon to talk about resolution. First, you need to end the opposition of dreams and become one another's friends instead of one another's foe.
So being on the same team.
Mm-hmm. Try to understand the meaning of your loved one's dream. Be interested. It is important to realize that the goal is not to solve the problems. And men, that's what we usually want to fix, solve. It's so obvious. They just fix the problem. That's not the goal. The goal is simply to move from gridlock to dialogue and to understanding in the depth of your loved one's position. Do not argue for your point of view. Do not try to persuade. Just listen and ask questions. What is it typically? We tend to get defensiveness, or we try to argue back. Well, no, we get defensive in there. Well, as soon as we talk about your feelings, well, I don't do that. Or we see that all the time. The other person will get defensive. When the speaker is sharing their dream, we kind of negate the dream. We kind of put a cold, wet blanket over it.
That's
or
right.
we defend it, well, because we feel like maybe it's all about me, so I turn it all around, and this conversation then goes very south.
That's right. So these are questions you can ask. And the highlighted ones are the ones that we're going to ask, and we're going to dialogue our conversation around travel. What do you think?
What's the conflict? Sure, we can do it around travel.
So the conflict for us is going to be travel. All right, I want to travel, he doesn't want to travel. So I am going to be the
speaker. You're the speaker.
Yeah, I'm going to be the speaker, but he's going to be the listener. So the listener is the one who asks the speaker the questions. All right?
So the conflict is travel, or not lack of thereof.
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't you, what is your position on it? What's the conflict is, the position is I want to travel more.
I want to travel. Period.
I want to travel. Okay, yes. So we're talking about travel. So, honey, Do you have any core beliefs, ethics, or values that are part of your dream?
I do.
Oh, can you share them with me?
Yeah. You know, I have always wanted to combine travel with some sort of like Good Samaritan work.
Oh,
Yeah, I've dreamt of being a missionary when
Really?
I was a little girl.
I didn't know that.
So that's why when that Belize mission trip came up, it really interested me because I could combine helping people with seeing God's nature. And to me, God created this world of so many different places, microclimates, different animals. Like, I just want to explore it all to see his beautiful creation.
So traveling with adventure and fun and seeing God's nature, as well as helping people, and that compassionate side is really important to you.
And what's really also really important to me is I want my kids to see the world. I didn't get to do that growing up, and I was that little girl who sat there flipping the pages of the atlas and putting stickers on everywhere.
So you're saying not only that they pay for us to go, I got to pay for our children to go.
That's right.
No, I didn't say that. No. Okay. So thank you for sharing.
So I went ahead and answered number 2, but you can ask it and I'll read
Is
it.
there a story behind this for you, or does that relate to your background or childhood or history in some way?
Yeah.
Okay.
It does.
Can you tell me about it?
So our family, I'm the baby of 5. And by the time I came along, we did a lot of camping as a family.
Okay.
But we didn't really do much else, and I loved camping. The only other thing we did is we went to British Columbia camp meeting every year.
So you talk about camping. Tell me the story, the reasons it was so impactful for you.
Togetherness.
Togetherness. So you didn't feel that when you were at home at the house?
No, it's just adventures together.
Oh,
So
the adventures
travel,
together.
Having you there with me, having the kids with me, and we're experiencing God's creation and we're helping people together. That would just fill my soul.
I can see how important that was as in your childhood. And I can see why it's so important to you now.
Yeah.
Okay. What feelings do you have around this dream?
What feelings do I have? I would say the feelings that I have around this dream of traveling with a family is the feeling of making memories together.
Making memories together.
And that just gives me that warm, cozy feeling, right? It's just where we feel like, and I feel good because I'm giving my kids something else something they've not been I wasn't able to experience, but they can.
So it's not just traveling the world by yourself, it's traveling as a family and making memories and connections.
Yes.
Okay, and is there a deeper purpose in this goal for you?
Deeper purpose? I would just say the deeper purpose is to give back while I
give back.
travel. That would be the deeper purpose. So we're combining vacation with doing good.
So do you see how we can open the conversation to dialogue behind those? If we would have had that conversation, in our first part of our marriage, it would have changed the whole trajectory of our marriage if I would have chosen to accept influence and understanding the meaning and the purpose and the interest behind the dream. And once I heard that and I found that when we had this conversation, I want to travel with my wife. I want her to experience that. I want to travel as a family. And our cruise, that picture of the cruise I showed you, I took our kids with us. I didn't tell you that part because
I asked, and I knew again, like the cake story, I was waiting to see how he would respond. Would he accept influence? And I made a bid, and I said, I know you're dreaming of doing this trip just with me, but our kids love music so much. It was a gospel music cruise. And I said, I just so much want the kids to come and experience this. Would you be okay with this? And he said yes. I expected him to say no, to be honest. But he did say yes.
Because I heard the interest in what was behind the dream, right? Once I understood, we can now meet the dreams. So
That's right.
we're out of time-wise. We're running out of time. Just want to kind of wrap this up and summarize and kind of answer any questions.
Yeah, so that's when there's conflict, and if the conflict is with me around travel, he's going to be trying to catch my dream by asking these questions. So there's more questions, but if he was to ask me, what do I need? Question number 8, that's a loaded question for him, isn't it? To hear what I'm going to say. What am I going to say?
Okay, let me ask you that question. What do you need from me? How can I support you in your dream?
What I need.
Because what I want to say is, are you kidding? The cost? I'm thinking, what mine? Like, we can't afford that dream. That's ridiculous. She wants to go to the Mediterranean cruise with all her kids. I'm thinking logically, that's ridiculous. We can't afford. That's going to be like $20,000. Where are you going to get that kind of money? Money doesn't grow on trees, right? You got that mind's racing. So instead, I'm not judging. I'm not evaluating. I'm not considering if this dream is good or bad. I'm just letting her share her dream
And he's staying
listening.
present, and he's suspending his judgment, suspending his story. He already knows what his story is, so he's learning to take that story, set it aside, and just hear.
My agenda. So tell me what the need is behind this dream. What would that look like?
I really need for you to understand how important this is for me and how devastating it's been for me that it hasn't been able to happen.
I can see that now. I had no idea how.
Oh, it's bringing up tears.
I had no idea how this dream was so important, and to travel with our family and the togetherness. I mean, I want togetherness too. I didn't realize that was part of the goal. In the dream, I thought it was just you wanted to travel, and now I see how important it is. I want to make happen as however we can. So
I want to look back and have our kids look back and you look back and have all these amazing memories together.
And based on what I'm hearing, you don't want to go to the same place every time. You like to experience adventure and new places. I'm hearing you correctly.
Yeah,
Okay.
you are.
That's the need.
Yeah. So, yeah, it still makes me teary because he has turned towards these bids. And it's just tears of joy. And our family has created a lot of memories together in the last 12 years because of it, and we have too. So my whole world has shifted just because he said, why not yes?
And our whole marriage has shifted.
Yes.
And we've truly now becoming one.
And travel, it seems silly that travel could be the straw that breaks the camel's back, but it's just one of them, right? And it was a huge desire. And many times we don't express how deep that desire is so that our loved one understands truly how important it is to us. We tend to avoid it because they're not going to listen. We build resentment and bitterness, and then the marriage goes on to decline.
So when we discover the issue or the problem, we have these conversations, we go back to try to we're actually working towards collaboration. And the dream catcher, this sheet that we just given you, is helping ask to find out what is behind the desire, what's behind the goal, what's behind it, really creating those discussion questions and that dialogue to really, now I understand really truly, and I can now assist my dream for my wife, right?
That's right. And at the very bottom on the left, it says the bottom line about dreams is this, and it's so key. You don't want to have the kind of relationship in which you win and are influential in the relationship, but end up crushing your loved one's dreams, your loved one's needs, your loved one's desires. You want the kind of relationship in which each of you support one another's dreams. If your dreams connect, that's even better. So if you both enjoy travel, that's even better. But many times it's these opposing, one is late, one is early. these opposites that create the conflict. So it's collaborating, asking these questions. What is it that's so important about being on time? So Marlon could tell me the story of growing up, maybe how his dad would punish them if they weren't at the door at this time to leave for church. So now he's hyper vigilant for being on time. If I don't know the background, and it annoys me that he nags me every 5 minutes, Sabbath morning, are you ready, are you ready, are you ready? But if I don't understand the story and the background behind, I can't be compassionate to his need. And I'm not going to be as likely to turn towards his need. If I understood that, then I'm like, I get it, okay. I'm going to make more of an effort instead of being an antagonist in this. Because we go into antagonist mode and dig my heels in and say, just shut up and I'll be at the door, right? And we just get really, and we might not speak that way, but we're thinking it. We're thinking it.
You know, God has a sense of humor. Do you know how much traveling my wife and I do now? We're in a different town almost 3 times a month, or 2 or 3 times a month. We're traveling. We just got back from Panama in January. We've done 4 cruises. We are traveling immensely, and God's sense of humor. And even what my work now is, I'm traveling more. In our ministry, we're traveling. So we're traveling a lot. And the Bible has a quote that says, "Perfect love casts out all fear." See, when I started loving my wife and madly and cherished her, my fears started to dissipate of travel. I don't have fear of travel anymore. And God has helped me with that fear. And now I'm having to hold her hand on the plane when it gets a little rough, right? So that fear now, because love is more important. And when I started ultimately loving my wife, it just changed everything. And now we travel a lot. And I actually enjoy adventure and travel too. And that's the beauty of differences. When we start appreciating the difference and starting to accepting influence towards the difference and being flexible, we can now learn to enjoy, and those adventures, that part of her is now part of me, and I start to enjoy it, right?
And that's what happens. Unity happens.
Becoming one.
And becoming one. But we don't have these dialogues to find out the story behind it.
This is my wife's favorite quote.
Yeah. Conflict is inevitable, but combat is optional.
The choice is yours.
So what if conflict was seen as a way to grow closer together over time? If we were to dialogue and collaborate, find out the why behind the importance to each other, and turn towards that, ask ourselves, why not yes? There is one more handout.
Oh yeah, I'll give you as you leave. You can have all these handouts. We're gonna.
I think we handed it out already, but it's.
We'll hand out all of them.
A better way to fight. Yeah, that is handed out. So a better way to fight is just summarizing, and it's steps to walk through before the difficult conversation, during, and after. So if you have conflict, and you move into your competitive style, or you move into your avoiding style, or accommodating, and you're not happy, remember what is the #1 best conflict style? Top right corner of that chart. Collaboration. And that's what we just went through, dreams within the conflict. That's collaborating, that's understanding. So I would ask Marlon, his perspective, his position is, I don't like traveling. So then I would ask him all of those same questions around his perspective. Because his issue is, I don't want to travel.
What was my dream behind not traveling? What was my interest? What was my values, beliefs?
What I found out from Marlon when we did this process 24 years later, he didn't even know that this was what was driving him.
The fear.
He would, do you want to tell a story about going from one to the other?
So the reason travel created anxiety and fear within me is because when my parents divorced at age 6, one lived in Peoria, Alberta, and one lived in Kelowna, BC, and it was a 12-plus hour drive. And every time I had to travel was going from one parent that was bawling, crying, emotionally I was drained, and I was crying because my mom was crying. And then I would go with my dad, and he would drive for 12 hours, and meet that emotion. And then after I spent time with my dad, then I would go back to my mom, and then my dad was crying, and then it was always associated with emotional pain. So I don't even know why, but as soon as that trip to Belize, the travel, I got emotional. I didn't even know why. The anxiety crept up. But once we started dealing with it and talking about it, going through this process, and when Doreen understood that, and when I understood it, now the healing can take place. And now we have the healing in our marriage and in our lives. That's good.
So Marlon chose to accommodate my desire, didn't he?
And now we've moved to collaboration.
Accommodating, we moved to collaboration, and now we've moved to unity over travel. So you can see how you can shift from your inflexible column list
Competing.
to your flexible. And that was gridlock for us for 24 years. It's
And
a
I can
beautiful way.
and I can assure you and guarantee you, I'm much happier now.
Me too. So on the very front page, this is before difficult conversations,
minutes.
using a softened startup and using I statements. I feel, and then you're talking about the situation, not the person. I'm not going to say, I feel really angry when you always,
That's bad.
reject my bids of travel. It just makes me so upset.
I can see that.
Instead, I'm going to say, I'm talking about him. I'm talking about the situation of travel in this situation. So I feel really, upset and hurt when my bid for travel is not turned towards. So I'm talking about the situation, not the person. When I talk about him, like the first way, do you think he'd be defensive? Absolutely.
Or shut down and Stonewall.
Right, or shut down. But when I talk about the situation, does he shut down? He may, but it's going to be easier for him to hear me. And then we don't usually get to the point of saying what we need. So I want to encourage all of you to say, what I really desire or what I'd really like is this. And then ask them, tell me what it is that's so important about this, whatever the situation. So it's a dialogue back and forth, trying to understand the story.
So you've heard the expression, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. What's best is to avoid the conflict before it starts. And that's what this before is, having those conversations to avoid the conflict.
A gentle startup.
But then if you get into conflict, there's the during, which is a difficult conversation. You adopt the team mentality.
Telling yourselves, just reminding each other, you know what, we're on the same team, honey. We're on the same team. And you can just say it to each other.
And during the argument, remind yourself, when you want to blame, remember to you that your partner on the same team. Rather than assuming negative intentions, practice open and non-judgmental dialogue and actively listen to your partner's perspective, validate their feelings, and express empathy. And if the emotions do get out of control, we're at the bottom here, it talks about how to self-regulate and self-soothe. So how you can overcome being overwhelmed. The answer is practicing this self-soothing. So you can go through that.
That's that physiological response when your heart rate goes over 100 beats per minute, your frontal lobe is washed out, and you get irrational. Recognizing, how do I feel when my heart rate gets to 100 beats per minute? That warning signal in your body, so that you can just say, you know what, I need to pause, or you can say, Mayday, Mayday. And then just say, can we just take a half hour? I'm gonna go for a walk, or maybe you wanna go for a walk with me, and we'll just walk in silence and just hold hands. Because that physical touch can soothe.
There's, just go to the after the conversation so we can wrap it up. And I'm just going to find a quote here.
I think I have it there.
Just right there.
Okay, yeah. So processing what just happened. So if you go all the way through the think, feel, act, and you act out your anger or your avoidance or whatever it is, and everything is, you went through the whole complete cycle and you didn't jump off and catch your thought and jump off and say, oh, Mayday, before emotion hits. Or maybe you get to the point where you think the thought, it creates anger, and then you jump off before you behave and you withdraw and you leave. Like, you can get off the cycle at any point. But if you go all the way through and you finish the complete cycle of anger, withdrawing, you leave, you slam the door, whatever it is, you can always come back and do the redo. And
Why would you want to do that? That sounds painful.
Not the same
Just
way.
avoid it.
Not the same way.
So why is it important to process the argument or the discussion because we can rewire the neural pathways. And when we process it, we can learn from our past, and so we don't do it in the future, right? So we go through this process of learning how to process the difficult and really understand each other, and so that we don't repeat the previous sins of our life. And time's up.
Yeah, so imagine yourself in a theater and you're looking down on the stage, and that stage is the conflict that happened. So you're just viewing it from afar so that you're not feeling the emotion. So you don't want to get the emotion there. So you're just sharing your perspectives as what it walks you through. You each take a turn to share your perspective in a respectful way. And you're looking at it from a bird's eye view. You're sharing the feeling that you had and the story behind the feeling.
And the step one, each partner has a turn to talk about how they felt. Step two is discuss and validate both subjective realities. And finally, in step three, accept responsibility for my part of the conflict. What role did I play? How did I contribute to the conflict? And that's a lot of people don't want to accept responsibility. It's hardest to look at me, what I did. It's easier to look at what you did in that log spec concept. And now this is our final. I'm gonna go. Yeah, this one. I'll leave you this quote. Go ahead and read it.
If pride and selfishness were laid aside, 5 minutes would remove most difficulties, or let's paraphrase, to most conflict. So we have a 5-minute rule for conflict in our relationship. And we have become very good forgivers and very good repairers. And that is the key to restoration. So whenever we have a conflict, our routine is sometimes we need to take a few minutes apart, and sometimes it's more than 5 minutes. Sometimes it's 30 minutes. Sometimes it's a half a day. But we always repair, because repair is a happy couples, a happy family, a happy friend relationship's secret weapon is when we repair. Many of us avoid the repair process because we're either embarrassed, we're afraid they're not going to repair with us. There's many reasons why people don't repair. So being a really good repairer and a really good forgiver, and using these communication styles, identifying, where am I inflexible? Is there pride in my life that's stopping me and holding me in gridlock? Has my pride moved all the way over to rebellion? And when we're in rebellion, our relationships are definitely in gridlock.
So we encourage you to finish these, processing some of these sheets of inflexibility, pride, and using these as tools, a process to help have the conversation when you're having these difficult conversations.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much for your time today and for the opportunity to be here in Fort McMurray. Before we close with prayer and the pastor, is there any final questions or comments before we close? Yes, we do. That's a good question. Okay, Pastor, do you want to end with prayer? Oh, yes. Do you have something you want? Here, give him the mic. Oh, he wants the mic.
Have a great day.
Okay. So we're gonna pray. We're gonna pray together. Would you pray with us? I will give with you. Come. We're gonna do it together. Let's do it together. Okay. So let's say. I'd like to say thank you for them, because they have been here with us, and we learned a lot. Okay. So can we say? Can you help me to say that?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's say to them. Over there. Yeah. Over there. Say to them.
Thank you for teaching us a lot of things. Thank you for teaching us how to be understood. Thank you for teaching us about love. Amen.
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 The final words of his babe. Thank you so much.
So great.
He summarized it so well, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, come, Lucy, please. Thank you very much, guys, for coming. And it's amazing when we have an opportunity to learn, to find tools, to reveal, to recycle, to our lives together. And also, it is not just about couples. It is for sure couples, but we are in every moment in our life, we are facing conflicts or situations that we need to really follow that guide and learn more and to think about others' perspectives. So it's amazing. Thank you very much. God bless you. Please come here.
And I would say that the ones who remained would be the ones that could, number one, you profited, right? God gave you the opportunity, you were here. But you could be, I would say, the multipliers. So if you have a chance to talk to your closest friends at church and share what we learned here. And if they want the material, we will keep some of the material. We can help them to share. And, maybe you can share whatever you learned. I know they are about sharing. They tell me that they say, the ministry is exactly to help other people. So if you can share with other couples or other families that could not stay, please do it. We are the multipliers of these concepts. And we want to say thank you with a card. And and we appreciate it. Thank you so much. That was really helpful and helped us to remember